Hey gang, this is Fillmore, just letting you know that if you enjoy our podcast, quite frankly, a Howard Stern podcast, and you'd like to donate some money for the upkeep, or you want to request certain clips, please donate to our Patreon page at patreon.com/JimFix. That's JIMFIXX. You can donate as much as you want for as long as you want. There's absolutely no obligation.
Makes me feel like a... You know what, though? But none of that stuff impresses me. I'm not a big star effer. I'm not really...
Stop it. Just stop.
I'm not into it.
Stop, please.
You think I'm a star effer?
Please. Why go?
Because I've gotten friendly with Kira. She lives in my neighborhood.
That's because you're a star effer.
No, she invites me to a million things. Why is that a star effer? She's a nice girl.
What were you doing this weekend?
I'm really into the internet now. I've developed a love of the internet. And I can't stand that this schlub, Phil Graham, is screaming that we have to censor the internet. It's repulsive to me. It's repugnant. Listen, I'm very well versed on the new technologies. You know what a SIM card is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I see it in my phone when I take the
You're
battery.
not only going to see it in your phone, you're going to see it in your car very soon, a SIM card. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, it's called Game Changer.
I never read the social media comments about the show. I can't stand social media because I hate that people have power now. You know, in the old days, if you hated me, you'd have to write a letter to the station.
What do you think about Baba Booey? What do you think about Artie? Everyone likes Artie. Artie's super funny. They describe him as, a little bit crude, but funny and they likable. Baba Booey, everyone loves Baba Booey. I'm reading the research, and then it gets to me and they go, well, because Howard's so controversial, maybe this is the reason for the result. Like, 40% of the people kind of like me. The rest of them think I'm a fucking asshole.
Really?
Crude.
Everybody loves
disgusting.
Artie.
Oh, Artie, yeah. They love
But are
him.
you sure they really know who me and Baba Booey are?
I don't know. They like you.
And the other thought I had was that if the FCC does kick us off the air, how would we reach these millions of people that listen to us? Will we just fade away? What if we have an announcement to make to them or we want to communicate with them? This would be a great contingency. So make it free, make it up there, and let the fans have fun. And I didn't have any moderators, nothing. I said, anyone can write what they want. Yeah, right. So now when you go on there, there's like thousands of posts of just like, and I don't even know who the people are. It's almost like people who hate the show more than people who like it. And it's like you get on there and it's like, Stern sucks. He's a homo. Robin's a pain in the ass. That's a horse face. Artie's a jack off. Kill Howard.
Oh, well, what am I going to do? Anyway, the birthday bash is there for you for free. And not because I couldn't sell it to a network. Yes, many networks did want it, but I thought this
But
would
who
be
would
nice.
even think that way?
I don't know, and the thoughts are so rapid.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry for the first half. I've already given you a disclaimer, but I'll do it again if someone wants to make it a drinking game because I say sorry too often. No, that's what Canadians do, guys. We'll put our hand in the trunk of your car while you slam the door down, and we'll apologize for it. So I'm Jim Fix, aka Fillmore Fingers, of course, and this is quite frankly a Howard Stern podcast, part 2 of the breakdown of the Robin on Sally Jesse Raphael in the summer of 1995, rather. Sam, how did you think the first half ran with the video walkthrough?
In all the 90s glory of talk shows, which I miss. And being a kid who stayed home from school, sometimes, faking sick, talk shows and Sally Jesse Raphael that's what's up. Like, I loved that shit. I thought it was so funny. And oh my God, I just thought it was hilarious. But I loved Robin totally having to deal with it right up front with no warning, because we're so used to this staged, mind-numbing sensitivity that goes on in the show that's such fakery right now. Mm-hmm. It's so great to just see, oh, here's Robin on a show. She wrote a book, and this African-American woman starts off by giving her such shit and reading her to her face right away. It was phenomenal. It was great.
One thing occurred to me, because what we were playing now, guys, is the next day or the next week. Because I honestly, I could look in the calendar, 7/21/95. So I don't know exactly when that episode aired. So that's why I'm not sure of exactly when this rebuttal that you're going to hear, where exactly how long afterwards it is. But either way, it just occurred to me from doing the 15 Foundation stuff that we have been. And when he shits all over that Mark and Juliet show,
Right.
or Mark and Julie, whatever the fuck it was.
Mike and Juliet.
Mike and Juliet. And so it's now, okay, so that was 8. This is 1995, and he's doing the exact same thing, shitting all over her appearance, passive aggressively. He's giving Sally Jesse Raphael shit about it, but isn't he by association really saying this was a bad appearance?
Well,
like, isn't he just trying to shit all over it and make it seem worse than it is?
He tries to be the hero and the asshole at the same time, like simultaneously. Yep. And he almost does it in some occasions. I think he does it better in this than he does in 2008. But it is kind of incredible how he can be Robin's, savior and also Robin's slayer. It's interesting. I also think it's great that this wouldn't have happened, I don't think, if this appearance happened today, because let's just take culturally, like, put everything aside. The fact that there's YouTube and you can look up the appearance at will would change how they describe it. The thing that Howard had a wonderful advantage of for most of every appearance or anything he talks about on the radio is it goes away. The second something happened in TV, if you didn't tape it, it went away. There might have been a handful of people who taped something or who remembered it collectively, but it would be gone, poof. So he gets to rewrite history every time.
Let me see if I can find the actual video, because I also wanted to read the YouTube comments on it. And they were hysterical, I think. Sally Jesse. Okay. Let's see what I got. All right.
I didn't even see. I should have done that.
Okay. It's got 50 likes and 1 dislike, and there are 51 comments. So I'm going to start off here. Okay, first person said, Robin did very well here despite being unprepared to deal with this due to Sally purposely springing this on her. Now, again, this sounds like someone who probably was listening, was really referring to going with the Howard narrative, because it sounds like this person's just going to fucking town on Sally. Stern did right ripping Sally apart after this, as it was a disgrace the way they did this show. Robin did amazing and came out of this looking very good. She did not. We just went through it, guys. Further along here, it says Roy Moore. Robin's been a sellout for years. She loves white people more than she loves herself. Okay, Jesus Christ. I was shocked at 10:43. I didn't like that switch up. She was bombarded by coming on that show. A lot of people saying good job. And then, I mean, if you go through, guys, it says some people think it was amazing. Someone said she is a straight 34. This is a beautiful shit show.
I like this one. Audie Presley. Decades later, we all know now that Howard Stern was mocking racism, not celebrating it. Okay.
And then someone responded right away. Can you remind people about sarcasm before using it? Oh, it's Marissa, 2010. Lies. He stopped saying racist shit once people started being canceled for it. He couldn't even respond to the blackface backlash he received lately because he knows there isn't a valid excuse. These skits are no longer routine on the show for a reason.
Interesting, because we pointed that out too. Like, he wouldn't be he didn't apologize for the blackface. In fact, they're not relevant anymore, so that's why it's not a big deal. But he didn't even apologize for it, but he'll apologize for somebody dead like Robin Williams and not apologizing for something that didn't even happen on his show for a headline.
This one from AMACM69. She sounds intelligent and fair. She should try that on the show.
So could have had her own, but nobody picked it up.
I mean, sycophants would like defend it to the death, but there was no defense, guys. And again, whether I had shitty audio or not, you could see it and hear it for yourself. She sounded really put upon, and then was eventually in her element. When she was able to talk to the other people on the panel, she was fine. When she was being confronted, she didn't like it, like a true narcissist would not. So, are we ready for this, Sam?
Ready as ever.
All right, here we go, guys, with the quote-unquote stern rebuttal.
What an ambush job that four-eyed bitch did on Robin, man.
Wait till, you know what? They're going to have to bleep me a few times when I start talking about Sally Jesse Raphael and my feelings about her. She is now my number one enemy.
Man, I wish I could have been there just to,
All right, you want me to talk about it now?
Yeah.
It seems that everybody does.
All right, let me take a commercial break, and then I'm going to kick Sally Jesse Raphael's ass verbally.
There you go.
I have to ask you, do you think that guy was a setup caller? Because we know by now there's fake stuff on the show. How difficult would it have been to get someone to call in for that purposely to crowbar it in?
I don't think at that point, since they were popular, that they got people to call in. But what I think happened is people start off the show by saying, taking phone calls, and they probably put somebody on hold willing to say that because they wanted to say it.
Right.
Like,
okay.
you want to defend Robin and that appearance? Let me put you on hold.
Yeah, you'll go through. We'll put you through. Yeah, that's. I'd say it's more likely that was true back then. Certainly more likely than it would be today.
I love Howard's tough guy against Sally Jesse Raphael because what?
Because she's not there.
Wow, what a fair fight.
He's not even shadowboxing with tape. He's literally just he's just yelling into a vacuum.
Weird, Fillmore. She's on television.
She had that show. She was, like we said in the early part of this episode, guys. She had that talk show 18 years. 18 fucking years in the midst of all those. That's how much room there was. That's how much real estate there was for talk shows in that time. You know how many there were? Forget even the Canadian talk shows were still on, even though at the same time as all the Donahues and the Oprahs and the Jerry Springer and stuff. So, I mean, there was lots of space for all those people. It's kind of amazing. You'd think there would only be room for one or two or three tops.
Yeah, so I'm shocked that the interview show for E didn't get picked up in Fox shows.
where Grace Slick called him gay.
So good.
I have to play that one.
The word is not strong enough. I was on the phone to 3 people last night calling Sally Jesse Raphael the C word. 500 times. The C word.
Talking to?
Just various people.
At least we know that's pro forma what he thinks of women in general.
Was he preparing for Wendy Williams?
Yeah.
I called that 1-900 number, that the Hypno thing that we advertised.
No, stop all.
Yeah, stop all. I was yelling at the guy on the phone there. Anyone I could get, dial a mattress, I called. I called 1-800 mattress. I started yelling at the person. I have no one to talk to.
that makes it. I believe that. It sounds like he literally called nobody. He's all full of shit.
He called 1-800 mattress. Okay.
One of their sponsors, I suppose.
Right. You might as well just be calling the My Pillow guy in fucking Michigan. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I couldn't get a hold of anybody. People wouldn't answer their phones.
I had someone dial my house a wrong number, total wrong number. I told them Sally Jesse Raphael is a C word.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I hate that bitch. I got so much to say about her. It's going to blow the lid off that bitch. I'm going to blow her top. Thank you.
So, okay.
Top.
Yeah, well, that one I give him a pass because he's got to get through the censor. So that's he was saying I gotta blow her fucking top. And if you heard this rant, you're right. If you heard this rant now, it would be just like the Wendy Williams one: C word, F and C word, F and C word.
Okay, and let's be honest. He said, "Oh, I wanted to call anyone who I talked to. I said what a cunt or what a bitch I thought she was." So somebody who called your house randomly, it could have been one of your 3 kids' friends. Sally Jesse Raphael's a cunt. Hi, can I speak to Deborah?
I'm Mr.
Calling
Stern.
about homework.
That would be amazing. I will say though, it's also kind of telling. He talks like so. Robin does this appearance instead of putting best foot forward and saying, "I think Robin did amazing on that show." He has to go. It's more important to trash Sally Jesse Raphael than it is to praise Robin.
Well, you know why, right? Because she didn't. Okay. Say you think she did amazing for herself for the time period. I'm putting myself, I can't put myself in a 90s mind for how I would have thought about Robin's appearance. To me, it would have been narcissistic regardless of the time period. But put that aside, she made Howard look bad because in one breath he's saying, I know in my heart he's not a racist, but you're going to have to ask him if he's a liberal. I'm going to defend him, but I'm also going to blame him for what's on the show. And you could just change the dial. So there was a very, I guess, flip-flop in how she defended him that made him look bad. And she did. She looked like a goldfish, in a puddle of water.
Yeah. Yeah, she was floundering and she was kind of stuck doing the whole circle route. And we played, I think, the Linda Ronstadt appearance on The Tonight Show where she gave Howard, by proxy, through Robin, shit about the Selena comments that he made. And Robin was just as unable to deal with that there as she was with Sally Jesse. So it's a combination of being incredibly uncomfortable on camera, but also not being particularly not intelligent enough to pick a narrative, pick an excuse or a reason and stick with it, because it's like throw whatever fucking works to get out of this situation, like some kind of, I don't know, like a complete dirtbag that's busted. Like you copy your homework. No, I didn't. Why does your friend Bruce's homework say homework by Bruce and your homework says homework by Bruce?
It really was like the Selena
Bruce is my
thing you're in.
Sorry, I just struggling for an analogy, but I mean, like when you get in that corner, you're like a little fucking rat. You'll just do whatever you can to squeeze out of that bad situation, and he's a little better at it than her, but not really, because they're both dunskies.
Well, they clearly haven't had any media training when it comes to situations like this. Normally, in the public eye, if you're in something of such a controversy, which he was at the time with the Selena issue, and that's where I think lands the majority of the problem for Robin, is not responding to that correctly, which pissed him off, because it did look like she was floundering for him and her.
Yeah, and she's, by whether she wanted to be that way or not, she was his representative on this show. And if she comes off bad, he comes off bad. And that's always the way he's going to say it. He's not going to go, Robin's on a show. He's going to say, Robin from my show is on a show.
And you know what, Fillmore, like we said, she's in a rock and a hard place, because she has to take it from both sides. She has to be the smiling black punching bag for the show to get away with the humor, and then she has to go on these talk shows and be the black person defending the racist. It's very, I don't feel sorry for her, but it's double duty, and no matter what she does, Wiggy's not going to like it, and she resents it.
Yeah. Well, take the money and run, or take the money and waddle, as the case may be.
Just never. She has no talent. She's not running anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Allow me to collect my thoughts, and I will be right with you after these words. At the Sally Jesse Raphael, what I call the, where was that? Where the OK Corral, where they shanghaied those guys? Was that the place where they bushwhacked those?
What a fucking idiot! It was a shootout at the OK Corral. There wasn't a bushwhacking. There wasn't an ambush set up. It was the clans versus the Earps.
Oh, okay. Well, brilliant.
Well, I should. Tombstone hadn't been out then. Yeah, it was actually 94, I think. Twad Earp. Yeah, he should know better. He's just retarded.
Where was it that they got bushwhacked? OK Corral. Yeah.
Oh, good, Fred, knowing less.
No.
First of all, you handled yourself beautifully under a ridiculous circumstance. You did the best you could with those screaming maniacs in the audience. Let me tell you about this Sally Jesse Raphael and what a bitch she is.
You did the best you could. And if that isn't just a backhanded, like a back under, what do you call it? A backhanded compliment. You did the best you could, meaning you weren't capable of doing.
Meaning you didn't do
you couldn't
well.
do anything.
Let's just not sugarcoat it. You didn't do good.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You did the best you could. That's like in a test or at a race. You did the best you could. You came in fourth.
Right. You came in last place, but at least you tried.
And also, I just love listening to this because if there was Twitter or something else, we'd already know. Look at how he had the luxury of painting the picture. His career would have never, ever been as lucrative. I mean, his painting, of course, and all the commissions he got off of it. But
his hosting.
Besides Conlin Road, he would have never made this much money if there would have been the internet.
He would have been canceled before there was cancel culture because he would have been called out on every single lie. People at that point, certainly, I mean, if as rabid as fans were at the time who listened to the show, if you had the medium of social media, they could have recorded on Streamable or SoundCloud. They could have recorded the Sally Jesse stuff and played it for him back to back with his lies and exposed him. I mean, just like Carlos Mencia saying, I didn't rip this off. And you pulled it up to the actual video of the comic that he ripped jokes off of, and you put it on YouTube. There's no defense. Same with Amy Schumer.
Don't you think that's where Stern Fan Network really, for me, that probably is the beginning of the end, because that unified people in those thoughts. Like, hey, that's a lie. Or, hey, that's not what happened. Or he's being this way. So he couldn't handle it.
Well, eventually people were less entertained than they were sort of outraged by the constant barrage of bullshit. And when you start adding up all these incidents where he's completely lied about something, you stop writing it off and saying, well, I'm still getting something out of the show. All of a sudden, you're getting less out of the show. You're actually listening to more nonsense. And then these websites proliferate because there's no end. He doesn't stop the bullshit. And you have to hold him, like, even if it isn't a robinsright.com, you get all these forums, you get Facebook groups, whatever, as we are, and there have been more than that. And yet what still amazes me is that there's people who still say they listen and enjoy it, and these people must be brain dead. I cannot fathom it.
Did you just say robinsright.com?
She's left.
The bitch, no talent she is. And she knows this to be true. She talks about she was a broadcaster. She's no broadcaster. Custer had it easier.
Bit more.
Okay. All these cowboy references. Do you think how he's reminded because Ralph was in chaps waiting for him in the basement?
I'm just like, okay, Robert E. Lee or like
Billy the Kid had an easier time on Donahue.
Bonnie and Clyde.
First of all, I want to make a statement. Let me make a couple of statements.
Oh, okay, thank you.
When I go on TV, I've put out a few products myself. Robin isn't the only author on the show. I, too, have authored a book. And when I went on my...
Oh, and by the way, guys, do not think for a minute he's not pissed off because she released Quivers of Life in April 1st of 95. He releases Miss America in 95. Don't think, but after Robin's book, don't think for a minute he didn't directly put that book out because he wanted to rub it in Robin's face.
Well, I'm so glad
because he rushed it.
Awful narcissism made him put out that LGBTQ abomination. Where...
Large print.
Oh my God. He looks like, I can't even begin to describe. He looks like a drug addict on True Life MTV. I don't know who I am.
He looks like in Miss America, all those drag photos. He looked like Divine if she had like bone cancer or something. Because
Divine the Last Days.
Exactly. And so, and if you read, and eventually we're going to do a breakdown of the book Private Parts, because It's just there's just too much of Miss America. It's not Private Parts. Sorry, did I say Private Parts? I meant Miss America, because there are whole sections of the book in which he tears apart his entire staff, and they get pissed off. There's an audio out there. I think I have it on my channel, but either way, they're all pissed off of the way they're portrayed. Like he's doing it like Don Rickles. Oh, they wouldn't be anywhere without me. And then at the end, he wraps it up with a little bow saying, "Oh, but Jackie's the funniest guy I know." And it doesn't. But he's not Don Rickles. He's not likable. He's not coming at it, with heart and soul. It's, I hate these fucking people I work with. They'd be nowhere without me, and they should be fucking grateful, and fuck them. And they all took it that way, and they were all right.
Yeah, the writing oozes resentment. Also, even as he orates this book that he puts out and tries to, say what he meant, it still comes off bad. He's not Rickles. So picture Rickles in a text, but you're Howard. It comes off like a lead balloon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, let's continue.
Not forget that, okay? When I went on my book tour, I was on Donahue, Geraldo, I was on various Letterman, Leno appearances, all different types of shows, Robin, as you were.
He dick measuring. I was on so many more shows than you, Robin.
And on all of these shows that I do, because I'm a white guy, race is never an issue.
Okay, done. All right.
Donahue, they asked me about the Filipinos. He tried to have a little controversy. But they never pack an audience on a show and call it, "I hate myself, I hate my own race." Now, Sally Jesse Raphael did a show yesterday called "I Hate My Own Race," and while my Robin is up there...
It's not correct, and I knew he'd fuck this up on purpose. The exact caption in the graphic read, "They say I hate my own race. They say I hate my own race." Big difference. Which is
actually true for Robin.
Well,
people did
in
say
this case,
that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we discussed this during the first half. A lot of what she could have said, and a lot of what she said could have come out in a not bad way had she not bookended it with such nonsense and such insanity. And if you see the visual, especially if you just heard it, it might have been okay. But when you saw it and heard it, it was a shit show. There was no spinning it. So this is how he's going to try to get back. But it was not, "I hate my own race." It's, "They say I hate my own race." And it's giving you the chance, even if she was not aware of that heading, it still gives her a chance to go, "That's bullshit. That's nonsense. I love being, such and such. I love being this ethnicity." Go ahead, Sam.
And listen to corporatist radio at its finest, because Howard's number one, he gets to now say, "See, this doesn't happen to me because I'm white. And they never do this to me." Could you imagine playing this for Colbert on the, Howard Stern Comes Again book tour, or the Bill Maher book tour that he went on, Ellen? So it's also my Robin, your Robin. Could you seriously imagine this happening now?
Not only that, this is the last time you're going to hear something like this on a replay. Someone can correct me, feel free to. Would have been 2009, 10, when they started doing a lot more of these compilation theme weeks that first of all, hardly ever got recorded. Most of the people that listened to them thought that's nonsense. But after a certain point, you would never hear a rant like this that you're going to hear in a replay. Certainly not now.
Fillmore, do you think that it bothers her that he says how he starts this and says "my Robin"? Do you think it bothers her, do you think she enjoys that she's protected under his stern wing?
It's twofold. It's like yin and yang. She hates it, the term "my Robin," because it denotes ownership. It's mine, right? She's my wife or my partner. It's my bag of marbles. But on the other hand, yeah, he's a powerful guy in the media on some level, not powerful enough to not have to do the Selena apology in Spanish, which is funny if you hear it because he's such an awful reader. But so she's grateful for the fact that he is as big as he is, but she's resentful of the fact that he's trying to stamp ownership on her and her, whatever she's doing. So I think it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
How about you?
I think I'm with you on this, but I think she more detests it.
I'd say so. If you gave her a truth serum and say, how do you feel about this? She'd probably say, fuck him. I'm happy with what I said, even if she didn't quite understand what she was saying.
Promoting her book, they flash up underneath her, I hate my own race. So immediately...
Is that right? I didn't see that.
Oh, you should watch what you were on.
I'm never watching that show again. I think that Sally is a disgrace to mankind.
You're banned from that show.
And believe me, I'm banned from watching the show. I will never even watch it.
So he says, you're banned. Like, you can't go do that. I'm going to tell you what you fucking can't do. And now she's doing the same thing as she did in the Jingle Ball conversation with Allison, saying that, like, feigning like she was bothered by it. I don't think she was bothered by it at all, to be honest with you. I think she reveled in it. She's a narcissist.
She's a disgrace to her own mankind. Sally, there is no possible way she didn't prep her for what the show was going to be about. I don't believe that for 1 second. Mm-hmm. So I think Robin did that voluntarily to get book promotion because she knew how popular the show was. So stop it. You went on there voluntarily and you argued and stayed on that stage as long as you were willing to. No one forced you to. No one was sitting there saying, sit down, stay. So stop it.
And she could have walked off. If she really was offended, she could have just left.
And Sally let her have more words than anyone.
Yeah. We recorded, it was mostly, take away the audience questions. It was at least 22 solid minutes of Robin talking crap.
Even with the questions, though, Fillmore, she let her talk and rebut, which is more than most news pundits do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I hear that you watched the show. You're in big trouble.
Never even watch it again. I think he is a sad human being.
All right, allow me to make my observation.
So she's just kowtowing to whatever he's fucking saying. She doesn't actually believe this. It's just, oh, he's upset with her. I got to go with him. Oh, he's upset with Allison. I'm going with him. I know where my fucking bread is buttered on. And that's what's really pathetic. She could defend herself, but she's not going to. She's unwilling to defend herself and her appearance.
Yeah, she's like most of the employees here, like Gary with his book. Everyone that has something to do, they always end up regretting it because he makes it a bit. He belittles them. His narcissism takes over, and they have to get on their fucking knees. And here we go.
Right. And the trashing, I was just going to bring up the trashing of Gary's book inside and the tour, like the promotion, was incessant. And that was 2010. If I were Gary, I probably would have started putting dartboards with Howard's face all over the house and just whenever I felt the need, just, throw shit at it because he was instead of going, wow, it's my guy. There's nothing salacious in the book that's going to upset me because I made it that way. I made sure it was that filled with no real content. And then he's spreading the word about the show. It's extra promotion. Instead of being like that, it's like, fuck Gary. Like, what's he doing with this book? He's got a shit on it,
He Gary humanized, I think, his own character for me in that book. I read a couple of segments about it, especially with his mother and mental illness and the death of his brother.
Yes.
And during that time period in the 80s, especially late 80s, early 90s, if you had HIV, that was a death sentence. And, that's a very, that's something personal to me and my family. And I just think it's, he was human. And Howard belittled the fact that I think a lot of people got something from that.
Mm-hmm. And he couldn't let any compliment pass without some kind of snippy remark. So yeah, I don't know that we're ever going to do a Gary's book saga, but it would be interesting to play some of those things, just a few of those things, just to sit play
on the show. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking. Not the promotional stuff itself, because that was just fluff.
Okay. No, okay. I don't have any because I didn't see the show.
It's not fair for you to comment on the show. You didn't see it. All right, let me say this. This hyena, this bitch. This no talent. So, and I'll tell you why she's a no talent in a minute. I'll back up every one of my statements. Let her come on here and debate me. Mother dear. This Sally Jesse Raphael decides to do a show called I Hate My Own Race.
He got it wrong now 4 times now. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you know who has talent? Beth. She should host a show.
Didn't she host how many that got canned? That got,
Wait a
like,
second.
thrown in the
This
bin?
no talent bitch. How is your extra interviewing skills going for extra
Okay, so-
TV?
Let's figure this out. Mom Cave's in the trash. Howard's shows in the trash. His Fox pilots in the trash.
What was that one on
Robin's
ABC with
pilot.
Carson Kressley?
Which what are you
had.
talking with Beth?
Beth, the beauty, True Beauty.
Oh, True Beauty. Well, how long did that actually go with her? Not long.
Half a season.
The whole show itself was half a season.
I don't think it went the full route. It never got picked up.
Okay, so in the
Maybe
trash.
maybe one full season.
Okay, I have to look that one up. Then of course the one the poker. What was it called? What was the one?
Casino Cinema.
Casino Cinema in the shitter. Robin's, talk show pilot in the shitter. There's more failed projects there than like a retarded science fair. I mean, it's
Spoiled Rotten Pets.
Spoiled Rotten Pets, for fuck's sake. There's no shortage of failed projects within the crew. Conlon Road photography. I mean, that's a vanity project he couldn't maintain because he just was too lazy and too fucking talentless.
And he's sitting here calling this person who's been on the air, who will have a career far superior in television than any one of them combined.
Well, and finally, ratings did eventually drop, but after 18 years on the air, okay, it's daytime. Who gives a shit? He couldn't manage it.
Failure.
Yeah, exactly.
So every time Robin is up there, whether you know what's going on or not, Robin is titled, I Hate My Own Race.
Lie.
Now, Robin never indicated that she hated her own race. She had nothing. She was there promoting a book. So Sally Jesse Raphael gets a hold of Robin, sits her down on a stage for what I'd say was roughly 15, 20 minutes, and interviews her in a one-on-one fashion.
Okay, that part is true. But again, he's going on that same thing. I hate my own race. No, it doesn't say that. Sorry.
Very nice. Robin talks. Of course, Sally starts yapping about me.
Right.
And whether I'm a racist. And Robin says, listen, I can't speak for whether Howard's a racist or not. I don't feel in my heart that he is. But if you want to discuss racism with Howard, have him on the show and maybe he'll discuss it with you. But that's, which was appropriate to say because show's not about me.
But I'm also not your mouthpiece.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
Lie.
Sam.
Lie. So, first off, she didn't say, I can't speak for Howard. When they said, do you think Howard's a racist? She said, in my heart, I don't think he's a racist. And Sally said, I feel like it's just for ratings. He will say what he needs to say for shock to get ratings. So right off, we are in a lie.
Mm-hmm.
We're in his lie. We're in his spin.
And basically, Sally was giving him the out. She was explaining. She thinks it's a bit. She thinks it's a joke. Like it's just for shock value. She said shock. He's a shock jock.
Correct.
So that should be more than enough to placate him, but no, it can't. And here's the question: what's he most pissed off at? The fact that Robin had the audacity to go and do a fucking talk show? Just that alone? Just that she's promoting?
I think it's the fact how she's been acting on the show from the book tour.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit more moody, grouchy.
Cleveland
from this, she almost walked out.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of her being insane from the book tour, writing the book, being a little bit crabbier and moodier, and then the fact that he doesn't like the attention being on Robin. He pretends that he doesn't like that they ask questions about him, but he does.
Mm-hmm.
And I also find it kind of interesting that Howard's saying, well, of course she had to bring me up. Well, it's called the Howard Stern Show. It's not called the Robin Quiver Show. It's not called the Howard and Robin Show. So, of course, you're going to get brought up. I mean, if you were on a show called Seinfeld, don't you think you would bring up Seinfeld?
Not only this, I think now that I'm recalling what we covered, she said, "I'm going to call you. I'm going to give you equal billing, even if he won't. I'm going to say you're a co-host." And that's what also most likely pissed him the fuck off about Sally, specifically about Sally. So he was putting her on an equal footing with Howard, which would never happen in real life and never did.
He's treading on this. He's treading on this balance beam or tightrope that he's done forever, and he still does. And there will be points where Robin just says, "I'm not walking this line," and she'll have a Simona Dinnerstein rant. Or she'll flip the fuck out about something that you're like, why are you upset about this? But it's because of all of this passive aggressive. Here we go.
Yep. And we continue.
I don't know.
You don't know what's in my heart.
Anything.
That's right.
Nobody else knows that about anybody else either.
I love everybody. The Schwarzes, the Guineas,
thank you.
Everybody. Dagos, Bops, everything.
Oh, fuck you.
Kikes.
Nick, Spix,
whatever. Spix. I love them all. I love gooks. Maybe not the gooks.
Chinks.
All right, chinks I like. Because the chinks are helping Robin lose weight. I never heard of a woman who goes to the chinks for advice on how to lose weight.
Look, aren't they all thin?
It's true. They're sticking needles in her.
Like, could you imagine just the whole litany of names that you could... Okay, granted, I grew up with guys that use these words all the time, and I'm sure, like certain generation, people threw out these words. I never used them, never.
Oh my god! But even in kids' joke books, cultural jokes were just a part of the lexicon in American culture or culture in general. I don't get
tasteless
just
joke
shut
books.
The fuck up! Everyone needs to cut it out.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I just imagine if you imagine putting this on the replay, like slipping into a Sternthology, and then him hearing this on the replay and getting fucking livid. Marcy Turk hearing this, going, the last bit of the contract's up in smoke.
Well, now, yeah, I mean, are we worse off for it, Fillmore? I don't know, right?
Well,
I don't think racism is good, but do I think being ultra sensitive about things you're not upset about? I don't know.
Well, I hate cancel culture. I hate the idea. I hate the concept of it because words are not fists. They're not bullets. They're not, they're not bombs. Words are words. At the time, like it's all about context. Do you feel that the person saying these words really has it in their heart? And that's the crux. He never has come off as a lovable bigot, the way Linda Ronstadt explained it. He's not Archie Bunker. He is a racist, and he's always been one. I just, at the time, when Don Rickles used to do this stuff, I never believed he was anti-black or anti-Hispanic. When Howard used to do it, it sounded like, yes, a shocking, like purposely shocking for the point of, shock value, but it also didn't sound like he cared one way or the other about these races that he was denigrating. That's, that's the difference. To me, it sounded to me like Don Rickles had love for everybody.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? So it's all about context. Who's saying it? How are they saying it? To who are they saying it? So, this is a whole subtopic, guys. Sorry to get you on that little diversion. We'll continue.
I love it. I appreciate that.
So,
well, it's working. I was reading Prodigy last night. Some guy was on there going, "How do you like Rob and going to the chinks for help?" What kind of thing is that?
Hey-o.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell possessed her to go to the chinks? Yeah.
You'll never know what I might do.
Right. Maybe Sally Jesse Raphael was right. So anyway, Sally Jesse Raphael sits Robin down, and this Sally Jesse Raphael, oofa. I mean, what a mug on her. This went for plastic surgery. She came out looking worse.
And there were some of the ugliest people in radio in this, some of the ugliest people in the business on this show, and he has the balls to talk about her looks. I always found that funny.
Has he looked at himself? He looks like a grunge sewer rat that, found some seaweed off the beach and planted it on his head at the time and decided, you know what? I need some John Lennon glasses to top this look off and a dragon tat.
he always looked like that crypt keeper from Tales from the Crypt. I mean,
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that.
and then well, the other thing, Sally, she looks fine. She looks great, actually. In fact, I don't know what plastic surgery he's talking about. I guess I would have to research what she looked like.
Wait a minute. And then fast forward to a couple years ago when he was like, "Oh, Barbara." Beth's on The View and she's talking to Barbara Walters and she's saying, "We were in the limo," and he's like, "Barbara this and Barbara that and Barbara." And I was like, "You're not going to leave me for Barbara, are you?" Oh,
Jeez.
so Barbara Walters is a piece of ass, but Sally Jesse Raphael, no dice.
Man, if only I could get Barbara to autograph that centerfold I have of hers.
I never. The plastic surgeon go, "Oh my God, she's a pig squared." They tried to take that pig and stuff her into a new skin. They couldn't do it. What a beast! What a beast! What's the difference? That's how I was combining the words. I just made an error. Pig and beast. She's a beast. I never saw.
So, and the other thing is, guys, this is what I forgot. I left out. It is it's these days it is a different generation of kids. Bullying, like online, the online stuff is extremely bad because of how much time people spend on it. So, and that we're proven that can have a horrible effect on kids when they do get bullied. It's documented. Loads of, what do they call it?
Yeah, just don't have your kids have a phone or social media like I do.
Yeah, basically, you do have to police that shit. But
no, I just saying no completely to that shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the easiest way to take care of it.
You don't have a phone and you don't have social media. The end.
That's right. Well, one of my jokes used to be because the parents would say the kid needs a phone for protection. I'm like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna pull out those magic like Motorola bullets that ward off a kitty rapist that come with the phone?
I'm sorry, what would we have done for like days on end in the summer when I was like, "Bye, Mom," run out the back door and I'll see you at supper time. Like, and you're
exactly.
You're taking your bike to God knows what neighborhood and pond. And the first thing I was going to do is pull out a cell phone from my shorts. Yeah. Okay.
We played.
My mom would whistle. My mom, I would know when she wanted us and we went too far back. She used to be able to put two fingers in her mouth and do this really loud whistle and we would know. The end.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, my God, we used to play in a dump. There was literally a dump, like broken glass, rust. God only knows, probably some bodies in there too. It's all overgrown, but we used to take stuff from there.
What?
I'm not joking. It was like there was an abandoned lot that would have been like perfect for a house, but it was just turned into a dump. And we used to like mess around in there. It was fantastic.
Were you worried about bullying? I'm like.
Child services. My parents would have been in jail at this point, I guess.
Or anything like it. I mean, she's really hideous. Her skin has got craters on it. It's just hideous. That's why drugs were invented, so people could get on them and hallucinate when they see her face. That's why booze was invented, so her husband could get it up.
Oh.
10 pounds of crap in a 9-pound package. That's Sally Jesse Raphael.
The amount of space between stuff means I don't think Jackie is coming up with a whole lot of these, but he is trying his best. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just about to say that was Jackie's last joke. And how we're talking about alcohol, he wouldn't discover it for another, 5-7 years.
And then he was playing beer pong with Ivanka Trump. Another plastic surgery success. Let's keep going.
So this Sally Jesse Raphael gets on and talking to Robin about broadcasting. And Sally's a broadcaster. Robin's a broadcaster. Lovely interview. All right. I think they go through that. And meanwhile, I hate all these interviews because the only thing they seem to talk to Robin about is whether she's black and whether I'm a racist or not.
What?
Which, I don't know. I would like to see Robin on a show where they talk to Robin about her life, not about a referendum on my racism, or all of a sudden everybody's just got.
Go ahead, Sam.
Wait a minute. So they like to talk to her about her because she's black. They could see she's black on the TV, so wrong. And wrong.
We put together her.
Oh, am I a racist? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know. Am I a racist? I don't know. Okay.
Could you imagine they put a consortium together to figure out if Robin was black or not?
They gave her.
Did they look through her CDs? There's no Al Green here. Fuck you. Where's the James Brown, asshole? You forfeited your black card. What is that?
I don't know. And also, they gave her a huge, long interview. She pontificated about her life and Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King and I'm black. Oh, we do know she's black. She said it like 13 times in the interview.
Right. She also bullshitted about the Air Force forcing her to stay. Why don't we address the complete fiction she failed to address? Anyway, let's keep going.
You know how you sit around and you try to get past the fact that America's a racist country?
Right.
That's the only thing anybody sees when they see you're the only person who has never addressed me as being black.
That's right.
Everyone else in this country is obsessed with it.
I know. Every show you go on.
They can't see anything but the fact that I am black.
Yeah. I didn't even know Robin was black until yesterday when she told me.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Then why'd she go on the show? Everyone's obsessed with you being black. Why'd you go on the show? You made a book about race. It dealt with race, parts of it, not a lot of it, but parts of it. And you agreed to do the show. Why? Would you do a show about Fillmore being Canadian and then say, I can't believe they put me on a show about being Canadian? That's all they want to talk about is my Canadianness.
Dude, they asked me about Tim Hortons. I had to fucking leave. So this is the thing. You and I both figure that they completely told Robin what the theme was going to be. No one would say like, we've got a Klan member coming out, but we're not going to tell you about it.
What are you on the Howard Stern show?
Exactly.
So you better be prepared for the Sally show because you're going to find out something you're not going to be able to maybe deal with.
And they don't realize how racist that is, that the only issue they ever bring up to me is that I'm black.
I don't see color.
It's going to be a surprise to me.
I don't see color. I see those two beautiful cans. That's all I see.
People never have to worry about me forgetting about my race. Everyone tells me what it is.
And everyone tells you how you should behave as a black person.
Because black people need to be led, I guess.
Right.
Oh, for fuck's sake. The ignorance, the fucking stupidity, the lies. Sam.
We are witnessing right now what it's like in the 90s, a world without the internet, because they are just spinning this tale of woe out of fucking nowhere. This is like Rumpelstiltskin, and they got to go back and say, what would you like? And they got to sign Rumpelstiltskin's thing, and yay, you get to go back in time and change it all. But here's the thing. Rumpelstiltskin, he'll get you eventually, and it's happening right now when you're not going to get your contract.
Just a little bit, yeah.
We always need to be told how we're supposed to act.
Yeah, and the only person who should tell black people how to act is me.
Actually, apparently, it was, for the longest time, it was Bill Cosby. Me, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Notice she didn't have any advice for those people in her audience how they should act.
No, she didn't comment on their behavior. She knows how you should act.
Yes, everybody can tell me what to do.
So anyway, Sally Jesse Raphael has this perfectly reasonable discussion with Robin, and Robin is handling herself beautifully. She's saying a lot of things I feel that were profound, to the point. They didn't run on. It was a very nice interview. It was good.
It wasn't much of an interview, actually. It was really a lot of Robin. It was more Robin than anything.
Quote one thing, Howard. Now. Go.
No.
Nothing.
God, not a fucking, no way. You just as soon ask him, where's the can opener? What's a can opener?
Where are your potatoes?
Daughter? What daughter? Let's continue.
Her off in a spectacular way, and anyone who would be black sitting in the audience, certainly if you're going to sit and measure Robin as racial pride, she was doing a great job. There was someone to look up to.
I don't think the audience could hear me during that.
I don't know what happened, but it was going really well. It was a good interview. It was interesting. It was fun. Sally Jesse Raphael, this is why I can't stand this woman, has no guts whatsoever. She had a list of questions.
Says the guy who's bitching on a radio into nothingness. Okay, people are listening. Not necessarily the object of your scorn. Why don't you call her up? Why don't you invite her into the studio? Why don't you go on her show and have at her? Why don't you call her directly and tell her all this. You can't because you are a fucking pussy. Always always will be.
Let's do something for a second. Just for Fillmore. Pretend you're Howard. I'm Sally. So he's saying this gutless piece of shit set Robin up and became this whole thing. What? Go ahead. Bring.
Okay. If I'm Howard, first thing I gotta do is kick Ralph out of bed. Second thing is, let's see. I'm in my little enclave. I'm surrounded by mics, monitors. I'm surrounded by security who look like Tom Selleck if he was on bath salts, and shorter. I've got.
It's
I've
three
got
men and a baby. You're the baby with sunglasses and looking.
There's a producer in the back sleeping off a coke hangover with that he was doing lines with Mike Bossy the night before after they were playing Hartford, and it's like he.
Okay,
we were gonna we were gonna do that one episode with that guy Jimmy Buff that that they hired at the station, and he got pissed off, and he gets into this flying rage, and he clearly looks like he is disturbed, like he's having an episode, and he goes, I'm hyperventilating. And I believe he really was, because he was thinking in his mind, this person hates me, they're dangerous, and he just short circuits. I have the video. We will go through it at one point. We couldn't get that guy, but we don't need him because we have the subsequent story from his buddy, who he was when they did Radio Free FM. So anyway, what would you do? He's a pussy. What else is he going to do? He has no other option
so
but to
you
fucking...
call. So pretend you call. What would you say to me? I'm Sally.
Hi, Sally. This is Howard. Well, first of all, he wouldn't call. It's a woman. He has such fear. You have a vagina. That's already problem number one. He can't talk to his wife. He's going to talk to fucking Sally, another Yenta.
That's true.
He's just as soon call her agent and scream at her, or more likely scream at his own agent. Anyway, let's continue.
She wanted to get at Robin with, but she didn't have the balls to ask the questions herself. So what she does, like every coward broadcaster in the country,
ding, ding, ding.
I have the balls to ask the questions myself.
Well, that's what, when I was talking to my agent afterwards, I said, if Sally wants to confront me about something, let her confront me.
Yeah.
Don't stack the audience with screaming Mimi who you can't talk to.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Don't even go there, you fucking bitch. First of all, what does a PR agent do? They arrange junkets. They arrange articles to be written like The Blast, like thethings.com. Shameless plug, guys. Sorry. Robin needed to get anywhere to plug this fucking book that only sycophants bought and threw away. Like, they didn't even read it, most people. Or they looked for the parts that Jackie narrated and left the rest of it. Because she would have been protested.
Well, you have to think of the market that Robin had would be considerably less, even though she's had on the Howard Stern show, and she wants to emit some sort of sympathetic angle towards women, hence the sexual molestation, and also towards a minority community, hence the I'm black nonsense in the book, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever when you read the book. Right. So she's sitting here saying that she doesn't know why she even went on the show and she can't believe what happened. Robin needed to get on that show because she needed to, impress that type of audience. She needed to get her name out there for that book, for women, for minorities, for people who were in Sally Jesse Raphael's audience. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been on there.
And a side note, guys, there's a Tonight Show episode where Robin appears. It might have even been the same as the Linda Ronstadt one, but earlier on, because that clip was only 2 minutes long, and there's a longer one that I think I have somewhere. Jay asks her the question, what would you like to do? She says, without missing a beat, I'd actually love to be your co-host. On national television, she's basically telling Howard, I would leave you in a fucking heartbeat if I could get a TV gig. Any better gig I could get, I would take. Of course, most people would. That's not the shocking part. But imagine your boss hears this. That's what he's pissed off about. She made the rounds at the junket and she said this, and he's got to put her in her fucking place. And he does it in private in Miss America, the book as well. We'll read through it. But when you do, you know that's just him going, fuck you, Robin. Know your place.
And this is why they passive aggressively swipe at each other till this time, current 2020, because
2020.
then John gets the stuttering John. He gets the announcement, the Tonight Show announcer gig.
This useless,
and Robin,
this useless tit. He's just as useless as the rest of them.
And Robin totally supports it, tells him to go for it because that is Robin's dream, to leave for that salary and not be under this sort of
Goblin
nonsense. And she wants to get out, and she tells him to leave and that don't say anything and leave. Gives him that advice and then totally flips it because she can't. Don't think for 5 seconds she's not jealous of anyone that makes a success of themselves from leaving. She resents that this is her job.
But inherently, she was a coward because on his last day, she was siding with Howard the whole time. And Howard and Shuddering John details in his book. Eventually, we'll do a little breakdown of that, possibly when we're finished our other list of projects. But she basically said, "You got to do what you got to do," and then flips it on him and says, "How can you leave the most cutting edge show and all this bullshit?" So she is everything she's accused of: a parrot, a token, a bulletproof vest for racism. And like be accusations, and that's it. And she's useless at the job she's, other than that, she fucks up her own job.
And Fillmore, that what you just said, that's her narcissism. That's the NPD, that part where John, she flips it and says, how could you do this? How could you do that? That's her narcissism.
Is it narcissism or her just trying to like make sure Howard knows I'm with you, boss?
I think it's her narcissism because that's going to keep her job as the good pet.
Yeah. These days we say chia pet, perhaps, with that fucking wig she's got on.
Answer these questions.
Right. All of a sudden, Sally goes and takes the microphone to a black woman who raised the decibel level beyond what any human could listen to. And she starts in a complete. Now, you got to understand why this is a setup and how I know it's a setup. They planted a woman in there, and Sally Jesse Raphael can kiss my ass because I know this is the truth. Her producers and her planted a woman in there.
Okay, we're going to stop it there for the 30-second thing, guys. The reason why he's talking about this as if he knows is because it's exactly what he does, stacking the callers. What he's saying is this is what I would do. So he thinks everything is like a hexagonal conspiracy. Oh, well, Sally stacked the audience with people. No, she didn't. You have a regular audience demographic, and that's her audience was typically what you'd expect in a Sally audience back then. I know that for a fact. Go ahead.
This show also took time after that Jenny Jones show when they were in trouble for berating a guest after a show. A guest was murdered. So they had a show where they basically said, we have a friend of yours who's going to come on the show. You both are going to come on the show. He has a secret. You have to guess the secret. And the secret was he had a crush on the man. The man was embarrassed of the fact he had a crush on him, subsequently killed him after the show in his home. So then it changed the dynamic of how you had to do these shows. You could not saddlebag people the way you did previously before that murder. And Jenny Jones had to go to court and everything for this. And it changed the entire game. So Sally would never, because especially that lawsuit, bombard Robin from that. Just
was that pre-95?
That was pre-95, I think. Yeah. No, the Jenny Jones show was before, I think, that Sally Jesse Raphael show with Robin. I do believe that because the documentary I watched on Netflix from it, I think it was 94 because it was around the same time of OJ, but I'll look it up just to make sure.
So we looked it up, the whole Jenny Jones murder case, which was I didn't remember the specifics, but I do remember it was a huge, huge case. Sam, did you want to talk about it?
So I saw it on, I remember this happening in the 90s, but I saw it on Netflix. It's called Trial by Media, and it was on episode 1 called Talk Show Murder, and it's on Netflix. And basically, the appearance was on March of 95, and it was videotaped on the Jenny Jones show, and it was where a secret admirer admitted to being attracted to, I'm sorry, you keep moving the screen, so I can't.
Sorry. Sorry, this one right here.
Okay, so it was he admitted a secret admirer of Jonathan Smith's who lived near him in Lake Orion, Michigan, admitted to having a crush on him, and he revealed it on the show. Subsequently, after the taping, he killed the person. So it said, according to the footage of the murder trial, it was stated later by a friend of Amadur's that Amador and Schmitz went out drinking together for a night of fun. After the taping, an alleged sexual encounter occurred. According to the testimony at the murder trial, 3 days after the taping, Amador left a suggestive note at Schmitz's house. After finding the note, Schmitz withdrew money from a bank, purchased a shotgun, went to Amador's mobile home. He questioned him about the note. Schmitz returned to his car, got the gun, and killed Amador in his trailer. So after that, Jenny Jones went to trial for this because the jury found that the Jenny Jones show was both irresponsible and negligent, contending that the shows intentionally created an unpredictable situation with due concern for possible consequences. So when I say that Robin, they're alleging that Robin's appearance on the on the Sally Jesse show was somehow just ginned up without her knowledge is completely false because of this case specifically.
In other words,
have known.
Sally would have had to. They would have had to resort to full transparency. I mean, some of them already did. Jenny Jones was just a particularly salacious show anyway.
You'll find out in that trial by media, it changed the entire context of all talk shows for how they do the transparency. So there is no way Robin, especially being a celebrity, went on that show and not knowing it was going to be, they say I hate my race. She knew.
Right. Yeah. So the ignorance defense doesn't hold up, and this sounds very much like him trying to explain why Allison found condoms on his private parts, thing, and it just sounds like every manufactured piece of shit explanation he's ever had. And then more recently, the guy that caught Ralph kneeling in front of Howard's dick and shaving his belly. This guy that's 6'8" and you're kneeling.
Oh, Ralph's calling. He's got an explanation. So it's fine.
Exactly. Let's go back into it, guys.
Was going to get things going. They put a woman in there who didn't hear a thing Robin said, had nothing to do with what Robin was talking about. And all of a sudden
and probably knows nothing about this show.
All of a sudden goes,
No. The first person, go back and look at it, guys. The first woman who spoke said you should be ashamed of how Howard treats minorities, and she said you're an embarrassment to your race. You should have pride in being black. That's what she first said. So there's no blah 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 blah. She was actually pretty articulate.
I was gonna say she was forceful, aggressive, in a certain amount of her projection was a little aggressive, but she was articulate and concise.
Yeah, way more than Wiggy is right now.
Representing everyone very well.
Yeah. I mean, she sounded like a lunatic and starts yelling at Robin. Now, I said, wait a second. Any person sitting in this audience wouldn't have gone from point A to point B like this.
Yeah, there was no transition. This wasn't even on the topic list.
Sally Jesse Raphael, she can deny it all she wants, but she's a filthy, lying bitch. She's a filthy liar. She's the C word squared.
Now, the other thing is, you think, okay, if you're going to script questions given by the audience, do you know how much work that would be? Like, you have to have actors and you have to have people selling crap. So that means that the show would have to be a complete work. And if that were true, as you said, Robin would have to be aware of that. She'd have to be made aware of it. So that's nonsense.
the transparency that went on in these sort of surprise shows where we have a secret and you don't know what transpired from that Jenny Jones show and what happened subsequently happened before this Sally show, way before. So this airing right now is in July of 95. The murder took place months before that. The entire talk show world knew about what happened in regards to that. It
and the
changed
ramifications.
everything. Every show panicked and changed that entire, we're going to spring something on you as a surprise. Now, there could be a surprise, but what they did, it says it's going to be one of the 3 surprises. You might not know what it is. And they did less of those sort of unpredictable surprises because of that show. It changed the entire way talk show industry acted. So this is such a lie beyond.
Pretty
I can't
amazing.
even believe he's saying this and not
No
even
one's
thinking.
no one's calling him on it. Yeah, like you'd expect like
Or
Page
maybe
6
they
to do
are.
something about it. Well, I don't think there was a follow up. I don't think. I mean, he 2 years later apparently he goes on and waxes poetic about how wonderful Sally Jesse is. So I'd love to have. I do have that clip somewhere, but I don't think we're gonna have time to play it. But either way, it wouldn't be out of order for him to completely turn around. We do reshindings all the time. So
No, I really can't believe how much he's calling somebody a bitch. That actually, I remember, but it's like a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. It's so excessive.
Oh, he goes schoolyard. Like that's his schoolyard is his first go-to. Anytime there's someone he has an issue with, he goes gutter and he goes really unfunny and it's just rage. It's unfiltered. If he could have said cunt 1,000 times, he would have said it in this broadcast. That Wendy Williams rant from 2017 would have been nothing compared to this.
I think that he, like we said, because he was had a huge following, painted the culture in a huge way and made it acceptable. Yep. And I think because of that, we are having such the opposite reaction. And it's crazy how it's just crazy hearing it now.
Well, if I had heard this at the time, I would have first of all, I wouldn't have necessarily believed anything he said. I wasn't that stupid even at 20, but I would have definitely wanted to hear the show. I would have wanted to see the Sally show to hear what he's talking about. I was never a person to take at his word. Like when John left, oh, Mel Karmazin told me this, he's dead to me. I never took everything out of his mouth as gospel, especially when you start reading back news articles, interviews with people that counteracted his nonsense. And as the years went on, there was more of that pushback.
You know what you do take, though, as a girl, especially a young girl who loves the show and watches the show, is you think it's okay to call. Like, you think it's fine that you're a bitch, you're a cunt. Like, you don't really even think twice about it because it's just said so often. Fag, cunt, bitch.
Yeah. Like past
over
the butter.
and over and over. Like you're kind of like numb to it. You don't even, now hearing it back after so much time, you think, oh wow. So I was conditioned to think that was normal because it happened every day and I listened to it. And I didn't really care. It didn't really affect me because it was just a part of the culture which he helped, bring in. And then the other part too is the way he thought girls were hot. That's the way you made yourself hot in high school. Like you're a skinny anorexic tween that's tanning and wearing low risers. I mean, for fuck's sake, how embarrassing. And he's a total fruit.
Well, let's not be too coarse, as Brendan Flaherty might say in the mockery threads.
Because she lies. She had a plant in that audience. That was a loaded deck, and this black woman gets up and starts yelling at Robin that she's, no good, and she don't make her people proud, and blah, 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 all this crap. And Robin starts to talk to her, yell at her back, and they're yelling at each other. And now they reduce you to being one of these nutcases who's sitting on the stage trying to yell at the audience.
Well, because
there's a big thing underneath you, I hate my own race.
Right.
And
so this is the 10th time he's fucking got that wrong on purpose. I don't know if it's on purpose. He might really be just that stupid.
Well, it's something that's shocking that people will respond to if you keep saying it.
What did Jake bring you? Brownies?
He brought me strawberries and balsamic vinegar.
Not.
He's a good gay best friend.
And you're,
Well, I didn't know about that.
yeah, and now you're the person who hates their own race, and this woman's teaching you how to be. Now, listen to this. So you handled it pretty well. But how can you handle anybody
But the
well?
point is, they continue to yell.
Yeah.
And after a while, it was like, there's no talking to this crazy woman.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to discuss anything.
Wait a minute. Robin was the crazy woman looking like the predator alien coming out of a fucking sci-fi spaceship. Her forehead and eyeballs and whole existence completely changed. She screamed at a decibel unparalleled to anything I've ever heard the entire show.
Yeah, and she continued to cut people off as they were asking questions. These people hadn't even finished asking what they were going to. And then one of them was on her side. Remember the one with the headband? The white woman?
The white girl with the headband was like,
the ginger.
I think you're pretty nice. And wait a minute, I want to say one thing. Wait a minute.
She was down her throat faster than fucking Buckley's. That's a Canadian reference for the 6 Canucks that listen.
Wants to scream.
So Sally Jesse Raphael has to plant people in the audience to ask her dirty work questions because she don't know how to mix it. And then Sally sits there and acts like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Oh, my, this is terrible. It's out of control. Please. And she's teaching Robin and the woman how to talk to each other. You're going to have to talk one at a time so you don't talk over one another. Okay. So now I'm saying, well, okay, so much for the celebrity interview. They've now reduced Robin to being, this person who sits on the stage who just, like some garbage person who just walked up on the stage and has a problem with her own race.
Well, no, actually, she had to.
Howard. That's what
Yeah.
you're thinking. That's your interpretation.
Exactly. And the other thing was Sally did have to get in the middle of it because the two of them were shouting at each other like a Geraldo episode. It wasn't so much. It was definitely more it was more like Maury, I was going to say, actually.
She wasn't shouting at them because she felt like she had to control the situation. She was shouting at them because of the technical issue of if you are saying something in the mic and somebody else is, we aren't hearing anything because one sound is picking up and the other one can't transfer. So she was telling them you have to go one at a time if you want to be heard.
They were canceling each other out essentially. And
she was being an engineer.
Yeah, more or less. And Robin, she really did. You're right. She looked like she wasn't full predator alien, but she was pretty close. And when that smile that she would have that made her look angry. I've never seen anyone smile like that. That looks like a cross between I need to take a fucking huge shit and I want to rip your throat out.
Also, everybody brought up a specific issue in regards to, it wasn't just they say I hate my race. That was like more about the panel. But when people had specific questions directed towards Robin, they were very, very specific. And Robin didn't answer any of them specifically. She just angrily
Lashed out.
ranted.
Yeah.
Angry rant the whole time. The only people who made sense were the ones asking the questions.
Or stating their opinion of what they thought of the show, what they thought of her role on the show, etc.
Now, you can think they're wrong or you can think they're right, but Robin's reaction was completely out of control.
Oh my God, it was like unsolicited anger. Like what did I trigger? So, come here, Robin, sweetie.
Well, I represent myself.
Okay. Oh my God. Well, which one, Robin? Which one of you?
Then they go to commercial and they show a clip of me and Robin on the air. Now, the clip of me and Robin on the air is a fantastic piece where we're just sitting and talking to each other, and we're doing what most broadcasters can't do. We're sitting there talking about whatever the topic was, and it was funny, it was entertaining, it was light, and it wasn't a guest or anything. It just was me and you talking, and it was entertaining as hell.
Okay, so he got to talk himself up in the middle of it. We didn't see that because it was edited out of the recording on YouTube. So, guys, I apologize for that, even though it's not my fuck up. Because it probably just to keep it on there so Howard can't have any kind of content hold on it. But either way, okay, let's say that did happen. All we saw was photos blurred out.
Yeah,
so
nobody's entertaining on radio but him. This is impossible to do. It's hard.
Right. Exactly.
Rough.
This is something that Sally Jesse Raphael, her entire career, has never been able to do on the radio or TV. To entertain people,
to sit there and entertain the masses and bring in big ratings. She's never been able to do this. At best, Sally Jesse Raphael is a carnival barker.
She's the ringmaster.
This is the same thing he went on. Who was it that just posted? Nelson Rogers Nelson or something on her Facebook page posted the making of the intro to the Howard TV the sort of ringmaster thing where he's wearing that huge gay white suit. Looks like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever with the top hat, and how Tony's approaching his wig like she's going near an electrified fence. And
it's like Jurassic Park. You know, when kids climbing the fence.
Or like Truman at the end of the Truman Show, finding the door.
Hurry up, get off the fence. They might be able to turn out. Hurry up, climb the fence.
Yeah. And it's like he wants to use that as some kind of insult, yet he goes by it his entire career and actually actively like promotes himself as being that. So how's it an insult? Are you insulting yourself?
I know. She just present and his tone of voice. I mean, if you don't think his voice is modulated, you're out of your fucking mind. Listen to this.
Right. I mean, there are different tricks he picked up and put together over the years, but this was one of the lesser enhanced modulations, even in 1995. He still sounded like a whiny Long Island boosty. What's that?
Are you fooled?
I don't think I've ever been fooled, especially if you hear that. What was the one video?
Are you surprised?
The real speaker, the real speaker orgasm, when he goes,
Did you mean nothing happened to you?
Wait, what?
he goes from sounding like Alvin and the Chipmunks to James Earl Jones in like a heartbeat.
Oh my God. Wow, I never knew.
Sam doing her greatest proper modulation.
When she had a radio show, she used to do like an Ann Landers show that nobody listened to. They threw her the hell off the radio. And then when she got on TV, she took the Donahue format. And you know what? She is replaceable as Ricky Lake, as Richard Bay, as Jerry Springfield, or whatever his name is. Any of these guys. Jerry Springer.
It's the audience you tune into what?
It's the audience you tune in. It's a producer show.
Alrighty. So the jealousy, like that 79 jealousy coming full force.
Jerry Springer is not Jerry Springfield. I can't believe his nasally voice. See, I have the most nasally voice. I'm aware of this. This is just a Buffalo thing. When he said Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, I'm like, for me to be like, wow, that's nasally. That's incredible.
Well, I have to take 2 hits of Otrivin anytime we're recording because I have a nasally voice, but or like Advil Cold and Sinus, something to get rid of the congestion. But otherwise, Howard's nasal is not our nasal, guys. It's impossible with that fucking schnoz.
Mine's a pronunciation for hard A's. His is a actual volume problem.
Like elementary. I know. Fuck me.
Set up some mutants on the stage, and they all yell at each other. And she's a ringmaster. She's as replaceable as any of these people. She's no better at it or worse at it. And that is her broadcast career. She is a replaceable commodity. She never once put on a show like we did. She never once sat and touched people and reached millions of listeners who were interested in what she had to say. Wow. She has to put on a carnival barker show. She has to stand there in the audience with the microphone a la Oprah or Donahue and sit there and get the lowest common denominator yelling at each other and then stand there.
The lowest common denominator. He means blacks.
I'm sorry. Didn't he have a show where he had basically child stars or stars that haven't been famous in the last 15 years, like Al Lewis, some guy who was on a kids commercial and some other old star? That was his Fox pilot. And then he was bitching about Jerry Hall not coming on. And he is calling her a carnival barker. Exactly. Meanwhile, this guy sat in a full suit of leather in sunglasses next to Joe Piscopo watching strippers who look like dog shit dance on a stage.
Meanwhile, Grandpa Al Lewis handily. Like Grandpa Al Lewis could have been eating a hero sandwich while he was dealing with Wiggy. Handily. I mean,
he could have been making the sandwich, eating the sandwich, and throwing deli meat at him. He still would have won.
It was incredible to see the verbal gymnastics. It was almost like it was like Howard's idea of verbal gymnastics is Will Ferrell jumping through that flaming hoop in Old School and burning alive.
You know what? He's fucking Molly Shannon, and Al Lewis was Nadia Comaneci.
Yeah. Great Olympics ref. All right, let's keep going.
And be a moderator. That's her career. She's got no career. If tomorrow Sally Jesse Raphael died of cancer from all the crap on her face, that they'd take another robot and stick it in, and then boom. Look at this. This guy Charles Perez show. Montel Williams show. Who are these guys? Montel Williams was a motivational speaker, the lowest life form there is on the planet. Motivational speaker. That's somebody who does nothing for a living. That's someone who...
Do you hear how much higher the voice is getting the faster he goes? I was explaining to Jay Santi the other day. One of the tricks is to talk slower. If you talk slower, it just gets more sonorous. The faster you talk, the more excited you get, the higher the pitch naturally goes. That's why he's tried to lower that's why hence the compression. He's not at full compression yet because he just doesn't have the tricks of the trade. Scott Salem didn't do his homework.
Fuck, why didn't you tell me about this trick sooner? I could have learned something.
Gets up and goes, yeah, you got to make something of yourself. I was in the Army.
Let's all feel good.
Let's all feel good about ourselves. What the hell is that? There's no way for a man to make a living. That's a charlatan. And the same with this Charles Perez. He was the producer on the Ricky Lake show. He said, wait a second. I could be in front of the camera. Any moron could host this.
Why am I whispering in her ear?
Yeah.
I'm whispering my own.
I whisper in my own frigging ear. On the next, Charles Perez. Charles Perez, kiss my ass. Who are you?
Oh, wow. Jesus
Christ. Charlatan? A charlatan. Wiggy is essentially a Jewish Michael Jackson in the fucking Say video with Paul McCartney. Are you fucking kidding me?
When he goes like this, guys.
Swilling potions of bullshit all his career, and he has the nerve to call someone a charlatan. How's Howard 360? Anyone want to let me know? I'll feel free. Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the whale rock category. When he does this, guys, I should give you a little disclaimer. He's going to be ass fucking your tweeters with this high pitch rendition.
These aren't people who make a living producing anything or entertaining anyone. Any idiot can host those shows. Tomorrow, whoever you are listening to me, you could host that show. Yes, you. What? Come here, I'm going to smack you in the head.
Any idiot, meaning he's just called his listeners idiots.
How's Channel 9 going? Is it still on? Are you still on?
The advertisers hated his guts. They hated dealing with him. He was like Barbra Streisand.
Jackie, how's it feeling under the desk? You need some air.
Exactly.
You could host that show. Any moron could host that show. So this moron, Sally Jesse Raphael, who's never really had a broadcast career except to be a carnival barker, and she knows it. She couldn't do what Robin and I were doing.
No, so she went to TV. Like, that's how she downsized. Sorry, that's how she downgraded. She couldn't be on radio, so she went to TV. What a fucking failure.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Carnival Barker, after we lost almost 4,000 lives in 9/11, you got up on stage in an orange jumpsuit and decided it would be a good idea to just take a little cutsy out of your ass and go on stage and just say some shit. That wasn't carnival barking though, right? After a national tragedy to make it about your ass cheeks. Okay.
This is like
Sounds
Franco
good.
Columbo. This is like Lou Ferrigno saying Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't have what it took to be a real bodybuilder. He had to go become a fucking mega movie star.
Could you imagine?
What a douchebag.
I mean, I can't even believe this. I can and I can't.
Well, yeah. I mean, so a 79 overshooting it. Is he really a 69 IQ at this point when you're listening to this crap?
I mean, he has... Well, look at he married like definitely a slow adult, so there has to be.
Okay, good.
Magic that they were showing when they cut away. They couldn't entertain anybody. She's never once done a monologue where someone tuned in. She's got to have freaks sitting next to her.
What the fuck?
Hi, Whack Pack.
He's got a whack. He's made a whole wing of his mansion is based on Whack Pack blood.
Let me call Crackhead Bob, Eric the Midget, Eric the Retard, Wendy the Retard, High Pitch Eric. Who else? Who am I missing? Mark the Bagger. Let's see, Tan Mom.
You'd need he needs a room for every one of the Whackpackers who's been dead, like at the Hank the Angry Dwarf room for Mushu Peaches to play in.
So there you have it. Sally Jesse Raphael's gardener could do that show if she dropped dead tomorrow, and you know that's true. So
do you think Sally Jesse Raphael's gardener caught her in a compromising position while her stylist shaved her pubic hair in the nether regions?
While the kids were at school?
Or was it just you?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. So they line up this first woman to yell at Robin, and then they get a guy to stand up and yell at Robin, and the guy is so bad at it. He obviously had never heard the show or wasn't even too clear on who Robin was. He kept turning around. Now, you couldn't...
That's fucking minimizing her. You're saying he didn't fucking know who Robin was or the show was. You're actually insulting yourself, first of all. And the guy into question, he was next to another guy that was going to say something. He wasn't coached. He did know what he was going to say, and he said it fine. Go back and listen to it, guys. Go watch it for yourselves without us.
Yeah, it was what he said was fine. And we also know that nobody read the book because one person raised their hand. So whose fault is that?
That was the funniest. I thought there were two. I thought that one Muslim woman, but it turned out it was just her wanting to speak.
Yeah. One person raised their hand, and then someone said, "I won't read that."
I wouldn't read that.
See this? I don't know if you could. He kept turning around to get coaching from his buddy behind him.
Oh, is that right?
He didn't know what he was saying. He was because you were saying. Okay, did you hear it? Did you? And the guy was all over the place.
Oh, so he got coaching.
Oh, this skeeve coward.
So a guy who's getting jokes written for him and passed to him.
You fuck. He got coaching. Meanwhile, here, a piece of fucking loose leaf hit me in the head. Knock, knock.
Is so cowardly. Is such a life form. Lower than any of them. Lower than Kathy Lee. Lower than Regis.
Well, what was really
she can't ask her own questions.
Was really funny to me is during the show while we were taking, then these other people came out to say, well, I really hate my race because, and the audience went crazy. And I said, excuse me, Sally, I don't think your audience understands what the show is about.
Of course not.
Oh, my fucking Lord, this narcissism parade. So now Robin, who's claiming I didn't know what this show was about, is now saying the audience doesn't know what the show is about.
Also, during every segment that ended, when they were like, okay, we'll be right back, Robin gave a big phony-ass smile. Yeah. I mean, right on par with a Beth O smile. And was just like,
yeah, Stepford Quivers. Like, I'm on camera again. Amazing. I'm on camera. Let me just get my fucking tits out.
She got what the show was about. She was right in there.
Well, of course not.
It was just ridiculous. Nobody there knew what was going on.
They had you on, and then people who hate their race. Now, what did you have to do with people who hate their race?
I'm the expert just to lend some information to these people, but I guess she painted me as a person who hates my race.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The race I hate is Sally Jesse Raphael.
Whatever race she is, I hate it. You can put me on record.
Self-loathing Jews. Go ahead.
Four eyes. Four-eyed whites.
Four-eyed bitch, pig. C-word.
Short haircut.
All right.
Pantsuit.
I hate our whole race and Sally.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
Because she is no race. She's trying to pawn herself off as Puerto Rican. She's not Puerto Rican. She is as low as they come. And she tries to act afterwards like she did Robin some kind of favor.
She did. She allowed her to go. She allowed a fucking nobody in the business to come on her show and promote a book no one bought, no one cared about. This is just as bad as when Richard and Sal used to get these authors on and fucking interrupt them on the calls. What's the difference? Like, it's the same amount of like legitimacy. Go ahead.
This is all
PR.
Them helping Robin and Howard. Charlie Rose helped you. Brian Linehan helped you, Howard.
Yeah.
Robin, Sally is helping you. Guess how many people bought the book? No one. Guess how many people now bought the book because you put it in the audience?
One. Sally said she read her book, but I don't think Robin read her book. I certainly don't think she wrote it.
Robin didn't read her own book because she puts herself in this fighting Muhammad Ali stance of a person, and it's the complete opposite. She's a glop. She's a puddle, just drowning in ice cream, hoping somebody pulls her out.
That show didn't sell 2 books.
No, she's holier than thou.
She didn't hold up any book.
She did. People held up the book, and she put a promo of it on the thing. We saw it. It was covered up, but she did show the book.
She showed the book, and she said "Quivers of Life" no less than 5 or 6 times.
Well, yeah, it was. I think a little less, maybe, but like at least 4 times.
She didn't show the book. I would have walked right out of there. I wish he'd gotten up and just said, "You know what, you stupid cow, you cow-faced loser." You stood there. I don't know.
Wait, Robin's fatter.
If this kind of thing were going to defeat me, I wouldn't have gotten where I was.
There you go.
You know, idiots like that screaming at me. I want to run my life the way those people run theirs.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam, please.
Okay, he's calling Sally a cow. Sally's thinner than Robin.
Yes.
Okay. And most of the people who addressed Robin were thinner than Robin. So, including the men. Continue.
Robin carried a lot of weight on that show.
I sat there and I said, you know, the sad thing is lots of these people are parents. You know, somebody has to deal with this at home. And it's really sad, and I just wanted to just be
That was
there.
a setup.
Was this before or after she starts crowbarring stories about dead children and neglect and the news articles, and then Jackie's laughing about it?
Do you think she like applauded when Eric Clapton's kid fell out the window?
She probably helped push him out so he could get a hit song. Tears on the Billboard charts.
Did the YMCA?
Yeah. I put a GIF. GIF. I keep saying GIF. I'm sorry. There's SCTV a character called Yellow Belly. This cowardly guy in like the 1890s who just like shoots people in the back. So there's a mother and a kid. Catherine O'Hara is dressed in period clothing, and this kid's walking by, and he goes, "Hey, Ma, that's Yellow Belly." And John Candy's character shoots the kid in the back. And and I said, I think I made a GIF saying Howard's parenting, babysitting skills. I'll send you the link.
Example, just to say, you can't let this run your life.
No, that was a setup,
though. You can't let crazy people like this decide how you're going to live, what you're going to think, and where you're going to go in your experience.
This was a setup.
It was definitely a setup.
This was a setup. This was a setup, and I can't stand... And Sally Jesse Raphael, you little bitch, why don't you come on the air with me? Every time I call you to come on, you little coward, you back out. Because this isn't the first time you try to pull nonsense with me. Come on, cow.
But the point is exactly...
Yeah, we're going to have to cut that one. Sam?
This isn't Star Jones. I don't know what cow he's talking about. This is a totally normal middle-aged woman with a successful talk show and looks fine. So I don't know what cow he's talking about. Also, I can't believe that he's presenting this in this way. And Robin's sitting there and saying, "Oh, I know who I am. They sprung this insanity on me."
Yeah,
no, they sprung actual logic on you. Why did you sit back and say nothing when there was gunshots played behind the Tejano music that Selena created when she just died tragically and she was in her 20s?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah,
no, it's because you're such a force, Robin.
Right.
It's all you. Good, Robin.
Fred was playing these sound effects. Did you give a fuck? Of course not. Like, and guys, get me. Please get me. I'm not like. I love when the inappropriate laughter goes on the show. When Jackie would be like, they play all this like horrible stuff, and the gunshots. The point is, like, it was done. Don't act like it wasn't done. Don't act like he didn't do it and loads of people weren't offended. I wasn't offended. I would have thought it was incredibly poor taste, but it, like, right away. Later on, like months later, they always say tragedy plus time equals comedy, and it's true. Look at Gilbert with that joke at the Hugh Hefner roast.
The commercial.
Which commercial?
He was Affleck, and he made the joke about the Katrina, right? He made the joke about the.
It was
the tsunami.
It was the tsunami. Yeah. Or was it? Yeah, was it the what he said on a podcast? The tsunami hurt me worse than any victims. He lost his gig.
It's not me not having a sense of humor about whatever they were doing at the time. It's just the fact, if they're personally addressing you for something, don't act like you're being attacked out of nowhere.
Exactly.
As you said, if you have a question for me, don't set up idiots in the audience to ask it. Ask it yourself.
Oh, the whole thing was a goof. And she's a goof, and she's a no talent, and she's never done a thing in her broadcast career. She was going, yes, I've been fired from other stations, as if she's going to compare her measly career with mine. As if every
You're the only one comparing her career with yours, buddy, and the fact is she got on TV and you didn't. Sorry, you have to.
At least her legacy is like memorable, quirky talk show that was successful. Yeah. Yours is you're a closet case, fucking wig wearing, vile skeleton that's embarrassing as fuck. Your legacy is everyone you left behind that is good.
More or less, or people that escaped, or people that, a string of shows that got taken off the air.
Show is a referendum on me, a big vote on me. Sally, you want to have a vote on me? Come on here, you little tuchus face. I'll give you a vote. We're going to take a referendum on you, you piece of garbage, you human filth, you skeeve. I'm going to take referendums on you, you filth bag.
But the other part of the is, we love you. This is great. Thank you for coming on. We're anxious to have you here.
Yeah, anxious. Get her on my show, that piece of filth, setup artist, liar, pig, beast.
So again, the same bullshit talking points, non-talking points, just to protect Queen Ophelia, but really, or discredit Sally Jesse for no really good reason, except that Robin came off like an idiot.
Over under. Does he know what referendum means?
He might have to consult a wiki, just like this, thethings.com.
Money.net.
Or Cheat Sheet.
Art Heist.
Cheat Sheet was the best.
I hope you die of cancer.
Well, I hope she's proud of what she's done for America.
I hope you die of cancer. I hope you get cancer all over your body. I hope it's more than your plastic surgery did. I'm glad your plastic surgery failed.
That's why half your face.
What does it look like up close, that pig? That beast who wants to look better.
Anne Rice's description of vampires.
Yeah.
Is
it all cratery?
Like marble.
Because,
Robin was dressed
for America.
Yeah. Robin was dressed like fucking Stephen Ray in Interview with the Vampire. And Wiki, he's not too far off from looking like Antonio Banderas in the same film. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Done for America.
Oh my Lord. This is back in the days when he would willingly wish cancer on people. Like I've never in my life wished someone die as vehemently and meant it like legitimately.
I just want to be comforted after a national terrorist attack by somebody with their butt cheeks hanging out in a jumpsuit. Thank you.
Exactly.
Hide some of that with makeup. It looks like there's actual holes.
But, they have to plaster so much on to cover up everything and make it all look like it's thing on the same face.
What a freak.
Why are they being so mean to Beth?
The Inquirer would publish a picture of her without her makeup on. Oh, my God. It would be the worst. It would be more horrible than the movie Species when she changes into an alien. It would be unbelievable. I wish he would get cancer. That's why I wish he would die tomorrow of painful
she's had
cancer.
a miserable life
Good.
already, so.
Review for me why her life has been so bad, so I can take pleasure in it.
Okay, so again, this is going to go quite a while, guys. So we're going to have to, like I said, break it up. But was it at the Ed Bradley in 60 Minutes interview where he questioned him? He said, "You wish cancer on people?" And he goes, "Come on, you've never wished cancer on people?"
You never
And Ed
wished
Bradley was
somebody
looking,
would die.
and Ed Bradley was like, I don't know. I don't think so. You know, like maybe when I was a kid. Like
I've such direct, vile thoughts that I never wish on people. I don't know. So continue. Both of them. Wonderful.
Yeah.
By the way, Sally's not the one who looks like an alien. It's Robin.
No. Robin's looking like, Kevin Peter Hall.
The adopted son was in a terrible car accident, and then her daughter committed suicide.
Yeah, she must be some great mother. What'd you set up your kid too? Like you set up Robin? You piece of garbage. You're a god, less than a woman. You're a snail. You're nothing. You're nothing to the human race but a leech.
She might have thought she owed it to me for exposing her in that whole Susan Smith situation where she ran down to go to the funeral and...
It's funny Robin brings up the Susan Smith thing. I don't know why she's referencing it in relation to Sally Jesse, except that Susan Smith, if anybody wants to look back, she went on it like TV and saying, I really want to get my boys back or whatever. And then she confessed in like the end of 1994 that she drowned her kids by letting her car roll into a fucking lake. So this is, it was, I don't know that she was on Sally Jesse, so I don't know what the connection is. We'd have to look that one up.
Maybe she was on Sally Jesse, or something regarding it, but it was October of 94.
Mm-hmm.
So that's before, obviously, Robin's book came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge case because when she brought that up and we said, oh, what is this? And I said, you know what? I kind of remember this being a kid. This was a big deal because, parents didn't really do this. And then, of course, there was Andrea Yates and...
Mm-hmm. And it was just nuts. But I remember the story distinctly because it was so horrific and it got international news. I mean, back pre-internet, guys, or really early internet, absolute. Oh, yeah, 94. There was a bit of internet, but it still wouldn't have been like what it is now.
It was like Scott Peterson line, and the one recently was the guy who killed his two of the kids and the wife, and then he lied about it and put him in the drums. Yeah.
There were a lot of those stories back that they started to become larger than life.
Tended to be, a mourner while she's got TV cameras on.
Yeah, the two children had died, and this is a woman. Her own children have died, and she had zero compassion.
Then notice there were no cameras at her daughter's funeral.
No, why didn't you bring the cameras in so Oprah could do some cameras while your kids are dropping dead? You pig! Come in here and answer my question, you filthy coward!
So I'm presuming they're mocking Sally Jesse for using the Susan Smith story for ratings or something, or trying to put coverage in like a theme show. I presume. Nuts. I mean, you're talking about two of the most least compassionate people on the planet.
That show has so much tact, the Howard Stern show. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they have what was Amy Fisher? Didn't she shoot a mother in the face?
You're a woman, you hide from me. Get in here, you pig. Come here, I'll call you. Suey, suey. I'll call the pig into the studio.
The Suey Jesse.
She's a pig. Sally the pig, Jesse Raphael. Beastmaster. Filthy garbage, human garbage. That's what that is. That should be swept out with the garbage. That's garbage. Call in, you pig.
Well, JoJo's noticed. I didn't even occur to me how much dead air is going on.
Call in, you pig. Like we said, if you were to call her and she were to answer, you'd be put in your place in 5 seconds.
Just like who was the when we did the Fox pilot, the gossip columnist that he had in
Cindy Adams.
Cindy Adams. She owned him in no time flat.
seconds.
Yep, exactly.
Come on, you filthy pig. The filthy pig won't call in because she's a coward. I see my
You know
hotline
what?
ring.
Yep.
Same with Wendy Williams. She came in, felt the air of a little bit a vibe she didn't like, and she owned him wig nose wig.
Yeah.
2 seconds. She read him like a school book.
Yep.
In 2 seconds on air. And what did he do? Did he call her up and say, why did you treat me like this? Why did you do this? No. What did he do?
Did he take her to task? No. Oh, like
he
when
took her to
when she was
task
there?
just like this.
Mhm.
Because he's a pussy.
Yeah, 100%.
Is that her?
Gary, pick up the hotline, you moron. Let it ring for 12 hours. Let's say that's Sally Jesse Raphael.
Doubt it.
Call in. Talk to me. Talk to me about being a woman, a broadcaster, with a setup like I never saw. Who is that?
It's Richard Lewis, not Sally Jesse.
I don't want to
You don't
talk.
have to talk to him right now. You don't have to if you don't want to. Don't worry.
Sally Jesse Raphael.
So you had Richard Lewis. I have that too, actually. It's a pretty good interview. I should probably put it on my channel. But when they get like this, do you get the sense that the staff is going, like they all know this is where we can kind of relax because he's going to be a while bitching about this, and we don't have to really do our work.
Yes, they know where this is going, but it is kind of interesting. As much as the show has changed the dynamic, it's still so much the same, where it's, we will never leave our boss in this chess match. We'll adjourn the match. We're not going to keep playing. We'll say adjourn. We'll give you a pass, and we're not going to keep going with this. You're not going to go for our bishop and our rook. No fucking way. They won't even give them a chance. They'll just get up from the seat and adjourn the match till the next day or the next time, and then maybe they'll never come back, and it's fine. They're just such complete pussies, and this kind of behavior they got away with it because there was no internet, and the fact that there was such hype around the show and the characters and the players in the show. But now there's just dead air. So if you have a fight with Wendy Williams and she dressed you down on your show and you don't approach it the next day after what you said about her, of course you're going to get called down on it. That's all anyone would talk about. But you can't come back with it.
Well,
go ahead. It's the same thing. He's even doing a worse job dressing her down, Sally Jesse Raphael.
You mentioned Amy Fisher, that appearance, and what ironically enough, it's the same situation. She leaves. Gary gets the big balls to trash her after she's gone. They don't tell her as she's leaving, like, fuck you. He goes, in my head, I'm going, fuck you, skank. In your head. Yeah, exactly. In your head. And when they're gone, you don't give them shit on the air and say, like, fuck you. What are you doing here? Get the fuck out of my studio. That's ballsy. That's edgy. That's someone being real. Why wait until they're gone to talk shit about them unless you're a complete fucking fruit? Go ahead.
So interesting, because you say that Opie and Anthony had Paris Hilton on, and they were preemptively saying, well, what the fuck are we even going to talk to her about? She has a show to promote. She's coming on the show. They were asking her about situations that happen on the show, and she was being like playing coy, and they kind of got dicky to her face about it, and she just got up and left. And they on the air said, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Like, you're here for what else are you here for but to promote exactly what we're asking you? What else would you like us to say?
Yeah, well, especially if you know you're not going to get that person again, you may as well fucking let them have it. If you've already exactly. So that takes balls, in my opinion. What he's doing is the lowest kind of shitty, like fruity character assassination that's only done by people who have no actual spine. And so, and you picture it over the years, all the backbiting, all the rescinding that we do. We're going to do a Kathy Lee one that's going to probably take years because there's just so much of him being like an asshole to her that we'll have to really pick and choose the most vicious stuff and approach it that way. But he was like she was a perfect target, but at the same time, it was never like go on their show, go on the Regis and Kathy Lee show. Well, first of all, he couldn't get on because he was talking so much shit about them. But if he could, he would be like a lamb, like a fucking lamb.
He would be molesting Regis, grabbing his ass, kissing, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. But it's not like he'd be going on about, well, why you bring your fucking kids on? It's not like he would go on their show and trash them. He didn't have the balls to do it. So he wasn't like Crispin Glover trying to kick David Letterman in the head.
Do you think like when he was on the Arsenio Hall show, he felt like he was in the middle of like the LA riots?
He probably wondered if he'd go to another studio because the blacks moved in to that particular studio.
Because he was like so afraid. He was like, I was saying something so edgy. He was so tense.
Oh, you could tell. You could see it, and the darting eyes that fucking poodle do, stacked at least a meter high above his head. I don't know what that is in yards, and Arsenio, to his credit, because Arsenio is actually, I've heard such good things about him over the years. He was fantastic. Arsenio was he's natural for the camera. I wasn't even a huge fan, but that guy got on, like he was on the TV like I belong on TV. He had the bluster. Wiggy could just bullshit.
There's people who usher in some sort of conversation and trends, and he did it very well.
Yeah, reasonably natural, unless there was some. And actually, he was really good. If you see some of the, he would have like Jean-Claude Van Damme right after, like the day after he had Steven Seagal, who just trashed Jean-Claude Van Damme, and just lead them into it, and not have the fear of, we just had so-and-so on yesterday, and he didn't have many good words to say. And Van Damme was very classy about the whole thing. He said, I think he's got, he wasn't afraid to ask something difficult to guests. He was good in that sense. I loved it when he had more serious guests on, like Frank Zappa and stuff.
I love that. I love everything you just said, by the way.
No, I hated the lead into Arsenio, the woof woof and all that fucking.
I know, but besides that,
that's where I was. That's where I was on. That's where I was on Howard's side. But the guest, the only place I could watch hip hop was Arsenio. So he wasn't going to be.
Said that was a great assessment.
Thank you, my dear. I wasn't going to be able to watch Ice-T on the Tonight Show.
It's like acid was poured all over her face. Never saw a face with bumps and lumps and things all over it like that. She's pull off her dress. She probably had curly tail and hooves. What a piece of garbage she is. She should be proud of that show. Sitting there like a carnival barker, getting the most uneducated black people she could find and loading them up with all kind of crap.
Okay, yeah.
What? Loading them up with all kind of crap. I don't know, like your show.
Preloading.
Curly hair and hooves. What is Beth making a special appearance?
Is there some sketch I'm missing where like Will Ferrell played Satan and I'm not curly hair and hooves?
What are they drugging him all with ecstasy and Molly before the daytime show? Or is it more like your show where you're just like, we have a full bar?
Yeah.
And girls are basically jerking themselves off on a saddle vibrating machine called the Sibian.
I loved when they had Benicio del Toro in there and they offered him booze and there was dust on the bottles. Wild man.
Wasn't right. What is that, a Shanghai experience? Finds black people can barely talk. Didn't even sound like they were from America. I don't know what show they hear. Sitting there screaming and yelling. It's degrading. And she degrades all people with that kind of nonsense. Putting morons on like that.
Jeez, I don't know I don't know where to go from here.
Sunny Hostin. Remember when Howard was on The View promoting Howard Stern Sons again? This is how I know Sunny Hostin's a fraud. She's a judicial watch commentator. She's amazing.
Right.
On The View, she's got such cutting edge points. She has Howard Stern on. She challenges him and he lies right straight to her face and she lets him. And then we have this. Sonny.
Yeah.
What's going on? Do you hear this?
Exactly.
Educated, black?
Well, let's take our first question from the audience. Oh, just happened to find that woman, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a setup.
She was racing to the mic.
She's a filthy, lying dirtbag. And I don't care what she thinks. She can sit there all she wants and talk about... She's having a referendum on me. Oh, I didn't know that. She does. She's trying to set me up.
No, you know what the referendum is? Can black people be whoever they want?
Oh, my Lord. Guys, the hits keep on coming.
Can black people be whoever they want? That was not the segment. It was people who don't...
They express a disdain for their it's self-loathing for their own ethnicity.
And
right,
they explain...
Or no. We gotta go right back into it.
I hate
People
my race.
say that I hate my race. Let me explain my point. Right. They, whoever they is. They meaning other people. Or I'm accused of being,
And to be like, even they had actually an interesting point with this, as I mean, like the one kid who sounded like Candace Owens was saying, I don't like being looped in with people who, like if they're acting
stereotypical.
I don't want to be the stereotype for where I grew up and how people act, because I don't present myself in that way. And Robin made a couple of astute points too, like you can only be the best example that you can be, but that doesn't exempt you from also making sure when people are showing racism in your face that you just completely say nothing and laugh along.
Right. That's how you're combating racism. You're actually helping normalize racism and helping make it more acceptable for your own fans. And by taking that, it's like you say you don't have any problem with a derogatory term. Even if it implies, even if it's against you, because that's what you are, you're okay with it. Don't presuppose that everybody else is okay with it. So
and then allowing that to happen and doing a victory lap is this. So now not only do you have this, which was on the Sally Jesse Raphael show, you also have now Howard doing a victory lap, which is going one further.
Exactly.
And he can get to say whatever he wants.
Right.
But this black woman, what's she doing there?
Black people were mad at you because
these people are mad at the world, Howard.
Right.
Don't say these are black people. These were just some crazy, out-of-control people.
Right.
Totally emotional people who haven't had a conversation with anyone ever.
I got more respect for hookers than I do for Sally Jesse Raphael. For people who spread their legs.
Well, you married a hooker, so anyway, go ahead.
These people were not mad at black people or the world. They had specific problems that they were mad at Robin with, which they brought up in a completely articulate way with her. The only reason why they got upset is because Robin wasn't answering their questions, and she berated them with a volume that was unparalleled to what they were speaking to her.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was like taking a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. And that was Robin's approach. Let me shout you the fuck down. Exactly right out of the Whig playbook and out of, two narcissists. That's how they would deal with things. Shout you down, pot you down. I brought up this example before of when the last time before Sirius that Dice was on the show via call-in. All they did was pot his fucking volume down because they couldn't compete with him. Wiggy couldn't compete on the fly. Jackie couldn't write fast enough for him to go. Jackie himself couldn't go after Dice fast enough. You think he's going to write Howard to keep up with a professional comic?
Oh, please. Dice is on the fly, and he's himself 24/7, and he is always like that. And everyone will always say that in his real life, everything else. Sure. It's not an act. That's Dice.
No, it isn't. That's Dice, of course.
That's Dice.
Yeah, so that was just another example of, if they're called on it in the moment, if they don't have their certain bag of tricks, they can't handle it.
For a living. At least they're upfront about what they do. It's Miss Compassion. She's running down to where after Susan Smith kills the two kids, she's doing a show from the lake. When Sally's kids died, she didn't bring the camera in. If she had brought the camera in, I'd say she's not a hypocrite. Bring the camera in when your kids both dropped dead and you couldn't handle it. Pig.
Let us see somebody walk down the street with you as you cry.
This guy took a dead woman's ashes into the studio, opened up the urn, and made fun of her fucking ashes with bone fragments and talking about, oh, I think this is her tit. Oh, I think this is her nose, whatever the fuck. And you're talking about compassion? Like, he's a couple years away from doing this. I mean, he's not at the time.
She was a mother. And then let's go one further. Not even further. Let's go on the same parallel street here. Then go to Ed Bradley's funeral and complain about the seat you got at this man's funeral, who is a father, a husband, a well-respected journalist, and everything that you're not.
Yeah. That's the humanity, folks. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you filthy, filthy woman. You're filth. Your hands are filthy.
Let us sit on the porch with you and talk about what it was like to lose your daughter.
No, I saw that show. I saw the whole show. You know, and I was watching it. I go, this is a pretty good show. You know, I'm watching the first 20 minutes, even though I was kind of like bummed that like the whole first 20 minutes were about race and about me and all. And all of a sudden, like when Robin gets on, I go on all these shows, never about race. All of a sudden, all these shows now.
You're white. You get to say whatever you want.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Since you did your book promotion tour, everything has been focused on this show about race.
Okay. A good section of her book was about race. Not a lot of it. Most of it was about how she suffered through everything she had to do and that she was some kind of fighter and she was oppressed at every moment. And so whether it was about race, whether it was just about the heavy, the boss in the case may be, or her coworkers, she was a perpetual victim in her entire fucking book. Everything, even the little sister she was supposed to be a big sister to was an adversary.
Everyone's peripheral in a narcissistic person world, but I will say, for him to sit here and say, until you did this book, now everything's about race. I'm sorry, didn't you have Gilbert Gottfried dress in Dracula makeup during the OJ trial, which was at the height of racial tensions after the LA fucking riots, go into the worst parts of New York City and say, do you think he spilled the blood of his white wife?
He's the one that said. He's the one that said.
A Jamaican woman call in and tell her to take the bone out of her nose.
Didn't you say that the cops should have beat Rodney King more, and that's where the lesson begins?
Right.
Okay. So, but the race is, just now popping up.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute, Fillmore. Just wondering, do they have a caller still called King of All Blacks?
That's an indentured servant to the show when they need him to call in, and he's a garbage man, of course. So when you need to throw that in his face to call him out on his opinions, you use that.
By the way, when we're gonna have the episode when you have to put a gun to my head who I'm voting for, so I can let you know if I lick vagina or not.
Let's keep going.
And that's all they can talk to you about. And Sally Jesse Raphael is the worst. So anyway, they talked to Robin for 20 minutes. But, it was good because at least it was one-on-one. I could hear what you're saying, and you handled everything. And then, let me see if there's anybody in our audience who has a question. There was no question. Yeah, she's a setup artist. But why don't you come be upfront about it, Sally, and come on the air and say, yeah, we got these people, especially for you, Robin.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, gaslighting, guys, this is like a gaslighting. It's not a master class because he's so shitty at it. But again, he's lucky, man. The internet, no internet, he could get away with this shit. And his fans would have eaten just about anything in 1995. A few years later, starting to get a little more, wary of what the fuck he's saying, but not just yet. It's still coming.
This is so bad. I'd look like Freddy fucking Krueger. It's gaslighting.
So because I'm too cowardly to ask you these questions and say these things.
We went to a park and rounded up whoever we saw.
Yeah, and why is Robin on the show of people who hate their race?
If that wouldn't have bothered me at all, I'd have talked to people about that, but it had nothing to do with me hating my race.
But it sure looked like you did.
Under my face.
Well, they do it.
I'm black. I'm black. I'm black.
I love being black. I love being black. It's making me think of a couple films, but I won't get into them now because otherwise this will be a fucking 4-hour podcast.
Sally Nitwit Raphael, piece of human. She is so effing ugly. She is ugly inside and out.
These
that
are
face.
On
that
the fly. These are all on the fly originals, by the way. It's not a Jackie joke in sight. Jackie's finishing off his Coors Light.
Hi, Emily, Deborah, Ashley.
I must be
The
coming.
plastic surgeon tried so much work on her. You know how much work she had on that face? And the face, she should never have had to work there because it caved in even more after she had the plastic surgery.
Yeah, things got...
Guys, honestly, she looked fine then. If you look at the video, she looks normal. Yes, made up because she's on TV. No less made up than this. Putzerlifty for private parts. When you see him in the shots, he looks like he's been made up for a Fabio. Like, I can't believe it's not butter commercial. Like, he looks like the cover of a demented Harlequin novel.
I didn't think she had plastic surgery when I watched this. I'm going to be honest with you. I really didn't.
I didn't.
I thought she looked completely normal.
I mean, if she did have plastic surgery, you wouldn't go. It's not like Kenny Rogers who had stubble in the back of his head because he had some facelift.
Oh my God! It's not like when you're like, oh, I need to get some swimmies for my kid and stuff it in my chest like your wife.
she's got two tits you could drive a Prius through. I mean, when they're there.
It would have saved an extra family on the Titanic.
Between those two pontoons. Oh God, you could do a whole show on her wonky tits. And the comments we got, by the way, for the sliding cupcakes. The sliding cupcakes.
I called them
I don't know where
Snoopies.
I don't know where that came from, but it was genius. Anyway, sorry guys, self-promotion. We're patting ourselves on the back a little bit.
Word. Sally, what's the matter? Afraid to age? You beast? You finally got a TV show, but you happened when you were too old.
This guy photoshopped an Adam's apple out of his own photograph. He photographed the wrinkles.
Tale as old as time, Fillmore.
Gotta get that. Happy birthday, Robin. Look, I tried to make myself younger through Photoshop. Thank you, Adobe. Thank you, Lightroom. I didn't use the clone tool to create a dog behind me.
Now people got to look at that punum. The face looks like it was in that Waco fire. Punum's Italian for face.
Oh, I see.
I'm half Italian.
No, it's not.
He's an idiot.
Faccia.
What?
Faccia.
Yeah, exactly.
Into another language on me.
I hear there's a shortage of bags.
Wait a minute. Is he still pretending to be Italian in this?
Yeah, half Italian. He's half Italian, like Judd Hirsch was half Portuguese. Like, Jeff Goldblum's been going around saying he's half Greek.
No.
Well, but didn't he say also for years Robin's Indian? She's not black, she's Indian. That was his running joke.
Why?
I don't even understand. Like, in which, feather or dot? I didn't quite understand. Is she Punjabi? Is she Malayali? Is she, like East Indian? What are you talking about?
There's no kids, so who cares?
Does she make a mean gulab jamun and fucking aloo gobi? Okay.
Because her husband has to put 3 bags on her head. She's a 3-bagger when he gets her. First bag just to hide her face. Second bag to make sure rip, and the third bag to make sure everything never comes off. He has to put 3 bags on her head just to screw her. Man. Then they got to use the 4th bag to puke in. So he's got 3 bags on her head and a bag for puking. Because you got to look at that. And they paid for that face, no less, with plastic surgery. What up?
I don't know. Even at the time, I would not have found this. I would have changed the channel because he sounds so like meandering and stumbly, and nothing's natural. It's all like it's coming off the top of his head, but it's shit. It's shit.
Yeah. Man, I've heard better jokes on like All That, which is like a Snick show. It was like Kenan Thompson was on it. It was like Kenan and Kel and Amanda Bynes. It's like an improv kids show in the 90s.
Just contrast this with like a whiskey sobbing computer board. Types out, who's out there in fucking virgin creepland that I can try to fuck with my web of grossness. And he gets some takers, some people who have a background that's clearly troubling. His father's a mad Irish drunk. This girl, she's goth. She dyed, black hair. She's looks like the fat gay guy's son on The Sopranos, and she's probably shit in the gym shower several times. I memorized that fucking rant like it was the first. It was like the first 10 minutes of Patton.
Yeah, if I said to you, we said to each other, "Who's the sixth president of the United States?" Question marks for both of us.
No way. But I could quote the baby gorilla like I would quote, I don't know, something from, I don't know, On the Waterfront. Anyway, let's keep going.
A mess. Hoofa. Yeah. I wonder, can you get a refund from a plastic surgeon if things don't work out?
He did the work.
Yeah, but it's not his fault. I mean,
he did what he was supposed to do.
It's the way she responded to it. The guy's done it 1,000,000 times. Can you imagine it?
Howard's plastic surgeon had him in the room, and before he started, he goes, "What are you doing? I got to open the fucking windows first."
I've been shaving down a goiter, a boulder in your neck for fucking 20 years.
He went at his nose with a fucking hacksaw. He said we might have to pull out the power tools for this piece of shit.
It's like those old, it's like that shitty rusty thing you do to like hedge when you hedge bushes.
It's like one time we were in Thailand. My wife suggested I get my back waxed because I look like, I'm not joking. I went into the salon and they took a look and they go like, "Whoa, okay, we're going to need to," they took a step back. God, I'll tell you that story another time. It was funny. It was one of the most, I don't know how you women do it, but the same way they looked at me, I'm sure his plastic surgeon went into him and said, "Okay, where do we exactly start with this?"
Can you remove the dog off your head?
He doesn't go in for a procedure. He went in for an estimate. And the surgeon, he didn't actually quote him a price. He just kind of showed him the boats he wanted, the yachts he wanted.
I can't be with Ralph now. I'm going to have to put off this divorce till after.
Okay, let's keep going.
At the trial, when Sally sues her plastic surgeon, and all of a sudden they reveal the bag, because she's sitting there with a bag on her head, because the husband can't stand to look at her, and then they take the bag off, and the judge they said, "Quick, give me that bag, I got to throw up in it." He pukes.
Everybody's going for the bag.
That's a great scene. If I make a movie, I tell you what, when my movie gets to production, I want this scene in, or I'm not doing the movie. You call Riker Entertainment and tell them this.
I guess this fell by the wayside somewhere in the production meeting.
I'm sorry, did I miss this scene somewhere? Was it in between the really good scene of... Was it in between the good scene of you chewing out pig vomit? Or was it when you were meeting Allison?
Oh, they meant to put this in the Criterion Criterion cut of the DVD, but it never showed up.
Or was it when you were leaving Robin to her crisis center?
There's actually, funny enough, I mentioned that, but there is supposed to be a work print, like an extended work print of Private Parts with all kinds of extra shit. I used to have it, but I deleted it because I thought, well, I'm never going to watch this. So, but it is with all kinds of extended stuff that that wasn't given the full production treatment. But if anybody out there has a copy, let me know, because I'd love to see that today. With the work print.
Well, the most important thing though is how we just hear how all the good things he will be doing with his film career.
Yeah, which is 2 years.
The bag will come off her head. Sally Jesse Raphael. Guys,
absolutely,
get ready.
Yeah,
for the movie.
Is all of a sudden I'm in court, right? I'm covering a story. I'm going to write this, and nothing to do with the movie, nothing to do with my life or the plot. And all of a sudden, Sally Jesse Raphael is in court, and her husband and her are upset because she's had plastic surgery, and it turned out all wrong. And they take off the bag. The judge pukes in the bag, and he can't believe what he...
Well, this is pretty much... okay, go ahead.
Freedom!
Braveheart. You were thinking the bag over the head of the executioner? Okay, I was trying to what the correlation is there, but it's funny. He's talking about what wasn't in the movie. Well, what was in the movie wasn't his life story either. So what's the difference?
I would have liked that part. I mean, anything would be better than what was put in.
Than what we got.
that scene in my movie. I want, and it happened in the middle of the movie for no reason.
Just comes up.
All of a sudden, it just goes like, well, here's the scene that I wanted in the movie. I'm gonna title it. Howard realizes he's breaking all walls here. It has nothing to do with the film.
It's nothing to do with the plot.
Right.
Your face. Your face would have sold the movie more.
This was on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. You know what's so great is Adam Sandler he did this shit. He would put stupid shit that is nonsensical into the plot of the movie, like a penguin running around, or Norm Macdonald, or Chris Farley driving a bus, angrily eating a ham sandwich that's like some elementary kids and laughing.
Yeah.
Or, so he did do that stuff. Howard has these ideas, quote unquote. Nothing turns out.
He came up with this idea, but he was too embarrassed to be in dirty work. Okay, let's go.
But this is a scene he wanted to get in the movie, couldn't write it in orderly fashion. It didn't work into the plot, so we're just putting it here for you to see. And all of a sudden, you'll see Sally Jesse Raphael in court suing her plastic surgeon, and the judge throwing up in the bag that she was wearing on her head. That's it. That's in the movie. Somebody write to Reicher.
I can see why this took Private Parts took 24 scripts to approve.
I'm taking this seriously.
2 minutes and 50 seconds. Can we do it?
Entertainment immediately. And then they bring a child up on the stand because Sally's been scaring all the neighborhood children with that face. And the judge. They give her the electric chair. They electrocute her for being ugly because no one can stand to look at her.
Guilty.
Could you imagine? And then fast forward, he's on fucking AGT and everyone's looking at him like a fucking thriller zombie.
I apologize, guys. The fucking chutzpah. When you look like some plastic surgery disaster to be talking about Sally Jesse Raphael, who looks human at least.
He looks like the Korn CD cover.
He has the body of those aliens that come out of the ship in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I've been trying to Photoshop his head, just the silhouette, but I have to get like a Blu-ray version. I'll see if I can do it.
There's a priest in Poltergeist #2. It's like this like creepy priest in #2. That I just think if Howard didn't have the wig, it would be this guy.
I have to look that up. I haven't seen that. Is it worth a watch?
It looks like Ben. And by the way, it's so freaky. Poltergeist 2 scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
I only saw the first one, and it was just the clown part was where I lost There's something about clowns that fucking I hate in films that just fucking irritate me.
Guilty of being ugly. Guilty. Oh, you mean I collect from the plastic surgeon? No. The plastic surgeon walks free. You're guilty of being ugly. We're going to kill you. We're going to put you in the electric chair until your head fries. The smoke comes out of your face. You bitch. You're no good filth. What a filthy coward. I love these coward hypocrites. And she's talking about her broadcast career. Some career. Charles Perez has the same career. Richard Bay has the same career. Anybody could have the same career.
You were so bad at it took you years to jump start it.
Any moron could host.
I'm going to, just a break there. Going right back into it, guys, real quick.
It's the Sally Jesse Raphael show. All you got to do is get a bunch of screaming black people in the audience and put person X up on the stage.
Yeah, those same people will show up on other shows.
Yeah.
As, people who don't have the...
Person X was your co-host, asshole.
It's almost like that newscast when they're like, so poor and so black. For the Katrina shit.
Wolf Blitzer. So poor, so
he
black.
Goes, so poor.
They're so poor.
Black.
They're so black.
I'm shocked he still has a career. He does. This is worse.
Jesus H. Christ. Okay.
Good sense not to sleep with their sister's husband.
God. I can't wait for my movie to come out. And then
That's the only scene you care about now.
Yeah, and then I don't care about the rest of the movie. If the movie sucks, as long as that scene is done properly. And then They march her to the electric chair for being ugly, right out of the courtroom into the chair. It's the first time, no appeals, nothing, because everyone knows she's guilty.
Death row of puking.
Yeah, she's walking down there. Everyone's throwing up. And
Guys, hindsight is a bitch.
Do you know what he looks like?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Do you know what Howard looks like? There's a reason why our QF symbol has almonds behind it.
All right, guys, honestly, 1 minute 14 and we will power through.
then, at the end of the scene, she doesn't get electrocuted. You know why? No one was there to pull the switch. They all went running because she's so ugly. They ran away.
In fact, the people in death row are saying, kill me before she gets
Right.
to my cell. I don't want to see her.
These guys are hanging themselves as she walks by. That bitch. She's nothing. She's garbage.
They'll all go away.
That's garbage.
That's garbage. Okay, guys, honestly, I know some people love these rants way back when. This is not a particularly good one, especially when you know that the evidence is presented in such a way as to make them look like lying assholes, lying, disingenuous assholes. But it's even worse when there's like zero wit behind it. There's like nothing about it that I would have found funny in '95. Nothing.
Listen, you know when it's good is when Jackie kind of perks up a little, or
But
there's a little
notice,
Billy West perk up. He's essentially quiet. He's not writing a lot. There's not a lot of throw-ins. Fred's particularly quiet too, by the way.
Oh yes, and they're just waiting, and it's just let King Baby get this shit out.
I hope she gets riddled with cancer and has a heart attack and a brain embolism all at the same time.
That's new.
Well, no, because then she wouldn't know the other things were happening.
No. The cancer will come and be painful for weeks,
Okay.
and then she'll have a heart attack and
Then
brain embolism.
brain
I got that all worked out.
Yeah, but it won't be a grapefruit-sized tumor, will it?
To me, she's the same as a bug. If I saw her, I would say, "Oh, there's a bug."
Definitely her.
That's all. She's nothing to me. She's nobody.
There's a bug.
She's a piece
There's
of
a bug.
garbage.
Let's call Dr. Jackie and call the rescue line and see if they should be out at this time of year.
If there was a bug in the studio, he'd run out.
I got no sympathy for her. She could stop a sundial with that face. All right, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, I will do more. Right after this.
That's the only thing this bit was missing. More.
Sundial.
A sundial. Jesus Christ almighty. Anyway, guys, I believe that is the end of our little extra. Once again, I would like to I would direct your attention to, I'm not sure exactly when this is going to be processed because we have a bunch of episodes on the fly. When you have stuff in the can, this happens. But this is going to be a full-on episode on a typical Sunday night projection date. Not sure when exactly, like I said, but in between, between now and when you get this, we will have had more 15 Foundation recorded. We're going to do something else that I'm not going to discuss just yet, and we have a number of projects that we literally cannot talk about because we have promised people that we will not. And I don't mean to be like Wiggy like that. Normally we have very upfront about what projects we're doing, but we want to keep them under wraps for now. We've got a special
Fillmore,
show.
you totally are being like Wiggy. I feel terrible about myself and
Go get cancer.
My race.
The thing is, guys, I would like you to please keep those comments coming in YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, particularly on YouTube because it's very it's real user friendly, especially with the apps and whatnot on your phone. And we're going to be doing also another mailbag show pretty soon. Sam and I liked the last one we did, and I think it was a lot of fun. And also every now and then, just like thethings.com, when we find an article we like, we're definitely going to do it. We're going to plug the Patreon one time here. If you enjoy the show a lot and want to show your love even more, sign up at Patreon. We got a great little promotion where you could do a year's in advance subscription and get 15% off. It's actually an excellent deal, no matter how much you're giving. And it applies no matter whatever the amount is, it applies. It's still 15% 13%. And thank you to all those new subscribers and new listeners. So from Sam and I, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. Again, apologies for the earlier shoddy quality of my sound, but just imagine I was on the shitter, and it'll all make more sense.
Bye, guys.
This girl has father issues. So he's clearly a mad Irish drunk. We don't know that. She has dyed black hair. She's goth. She's like the fat gay guy's son on The Sopranos. She's probably shit in the gym shower several times. And she tells Levy this on the computer, and Levy goes, whoa, it's perfect. Perfect.